And we're live with me being way out of camera frame, but it looks much better in standard. Woo! Look at that. Hey, folks. Woo! How excited are we? I'm all sorts of excited. I have optimized my build because things are gonna get heated. I'm just wearing a tank top. That way I can output as much heat as possible. I am gonna close the window though. Oh boy, am I excited. Oh boy. Hey, check it out. While I was waiting for all of you to join me, I was trying to draw Garfield. How do you like him? I did my best, you know? Still working on it. Awful? Okay, never mind. Don't worry about it. Okay? Don't worry about it. No, it's okay. No, fine. No, all right. Nothing to worry about here. Oh boy, I am excited. Oh boy, am I excited. Let me get chat up on my phone. I'll have a second monitor as soon as I move. Right now, I'm sure you can see, my desk just doesn't have room for it. It barely has room for the one monitor and for the tower. Oh. Cute Patoot, thank you, comrade. I really appreciate that. I am all sorts of hyped the fuck up. Where the fuck is Shoe? Shoe on Head will not be joining me today. I am very sorry. I know. She decided to go off and do her own baby politics stream for babies. Oh, how we doing over here?
Strong, you're seen as not likable.
We're on the NBC
women,
News.
I think a jacket that looks more
pre-debate stream
to a man's suit, but on the other hand, a bit of style matters. Fit is really important. Where the sleeves hit.
We're talking about fashion.
The high collar makes people look more confident. I find that women who wear three-quarter length jackets look even more powerful. What we really should be talking about is candidates' positions and their messages and what they would do if elected.
Bees Chirker Supreme, happy to hear it.
Because women are generally dressing more individually.
Fuck me. You know, listen, I'm a feminist and all, but with how much the fucking libcucks have moved in on this, like, Elizabeth Warren, you know, Kamala Harris, you don't want another old white man in office, with how hard we've moved in on the identity politics in favor of actual politics, I'm saying it here. I'm calling it right here for the audience. I hate women now. Women shouldn't be the president. Sorry. Bernie 2020. Will I be turning up the debate a bit once it starts? Wait, yeah, of course. I have the volume low. I don't want to listen to this bitch ramble about suits. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like fashion and all, but, like, fuck, this is a big deal. Like, this is for the office of the presidency. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, true. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When a guy gets up there and a guy gets up there and he talks about politics, everybody just go like, oh yeah, politics. But when a woman goes up there, everyone's like, oh, what is she wearing? Squad W in chat, boys. Squad W. I wish people would talk about my clothes. Squad W. True.
Once people look at you, it's only a few seconds that they have formed an opinion.
To those of you who have no idea what that is, there's a streamer on Twitch called Trainwrecks, and it's
treat you with more respect, and they're more deferential when you dressed well.
So beyond the wardrobe of the candidates, voters say they also care about their wallets. A recent poll by Real Clear Opinion.
Economy top concern amongst voters. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for that hard-hitting coverage, NBC News. I really appreciate it. God damn. Fuck, man. I was coming in here thinking I'm ready for the fucking the summer 2019 fashion lineup hosted by the DNC. But now I realize it was about politics the entire time. Fuck me. All right, who's donating? I got a cute little giggle. Thanks, I do it for you. Comrade Julian with the $5. Damn femoids. That's what I'm saying. Squad W's in chat. Fucking femoids. Edhead Kane with the $5. Genuinely good drawing, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And Bernie Sandinista with the $5. We need a candidate to dress as a JoJo character. I mean, it would demonstrate strength. Something would come out of it. Posada Sean with the $1. Suits. Fuck libs. Where's the policy? This is why we need thermonuclear war. The bombs of the workers shall bring us all salvation. Not a bad pitch, Posadist. And Bojack Horsebones with the $2. Vouch. If I have to relog into your site whenever I launch it one more time, I'm going to go full fucking fix it. JK, love you, bro. I'm sorry, Bojack. It works great for me. I don't know what to tell you. I love you, buddy. We'll get it fixed soon, okay? All right. What are we doing?
Keep in mind, I mean, presidents, it's difficult to beat them. I think only 3 presidents have lost re-election. Only 3 in the past 100 years.
Fuck, Trump's winning,
Despite
guys.
how crazy
SQUADW.
Donald Trump may be, to be able to run on a strong economy is a very, very big deal.
Hey, Kamosots Alter with the tier 2 sub. Thank you, comrade. Please do dirty things with my money. Also, shameless plug for my own channel about lefty shit in Central and South America. Everyone, go over to Kamosots_Alter right the fuck now. Why are you wasting time on this? Go and learn about Africa. There's lots of cool shit over there. Did you know Africa is like 80 times the size of America? It's fucked up. They won't tell you that.
You cannot isolate some of those blue-collar voters who we saw in 2016 voted for Donald Trump when you look at the precinct maps in Iowa, Wisconsin,
and
Pennsylvania,
they voted for
Michigan.
cross-party lines.
Absolutely. And they voted for Obama twice. Don't make the same mistakes again, would be my advice to Democrats.
But speaking of those mistakes, Alex, candidate Delaney said that the Green New Deal was as unrealistic as President Trump's promise that Mexico was going to pay for the wall. True or false?
Well, Representative Delaney has made, he at first was the moderate candidate where we're all going to get along. In recent months, he's now become the anti-socialist, the anti-Bernie. Anytime there is a big, bold, progressive proposal like the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, he has gone out of his way to go to progressive audiences and antagonize them. I think almost with an eye to the general election and hoping that there are enough moderate primary voters that will get him there and then make that sort of broad appeal that he was talking about. But if he makes that sort of statement.
To those of you who are interested, Trump's border wall was an explicit promise to the American people that Mexico would pay for this gigantic wall. And the Green New Deal is a set of strongly worded ultimatums for the American government to adhere to in its push for clean, renewable energy and sustainability and what have you. The two are utterly incomparable. There is no comparison between the two. What does Sanders have over Warren at this point? Legit question. Dude, Sanders is so much better than Warren. Sanders has been fucking dropping crypto social, talking about bread, talking about paying back all the shit, talking about coming after the rich people's money, coming after their tax loopholes. I love grumpy old man Bernie, okay? Yeah, like Warren is way farther to the right than Bernie. Fuck me, why are people donating? Stop! Hold on. I should probably get to that, because as soon as the debate starts, it's gonna be a little while before I can respond to donations, right? Fuck me. Ciancius with the $1. I want the Nazis to dress well. That's the FFN objective, and it is a good one. Flying Ice Wizard with the $5. What are some good books to learn about anarcho-syndicalism? I'm really sorry, comrade. I wish I could help you, but I don't actually study much post-capitalist theory. I have like some general understanding that makes me lean towards syndicalism as like an end goal, but I don't really care, and I could have my position changed. What I care about is dealing with capitalism and fascism now, and what happens should a revolution take place, I think, is up for different people than me. It's a different specialization, but I do need to do more reading. Not M with the $1. Since this is my last chance to ask before the debates change everything, how likely do you think it is that Trump will win? I think there's a strong chance that Trump is going to win a second term. I would actually put it at a coin flip right now. If Biden makes it through, if Biden ends up being the DNC candidate, I would put it at a coin flip. If Sanders wins, which is very unlikely, I would put Sanders' odds at winning. Jonesy Jones with the $2. Fug respectability politics, just spit on them. A good debate tactic. Frosty T.O. with the $5. I don't have Twitter, but I would like to state for the record that I am amazingly opposed to political violence. Good. I, too, am bigly opposed to political violence. I abhor all forms of violence, okay? Thank you, comrade. I really appreciate it. Mutagen Engine, sick name, with the $5. Rip the Donald. May it have stayed very, very, very dead. Unfortunately, the Donald's still around, you know. It's just quarantine. It just means it's got this big yellow exclamation point before you get on in. But it's still there. It's better than nothing, but it's still there. And, Aiden Keene with the $2. My name's produced Aiden, but it's okay, lad. Thank you for giving me $2 more to clarify that. I really appreciate it. Andy Lebusk with the $2 Australian bucks. Australian PM just promised to back the Iran war. Australian politics are fucked, my dude. They're fuckery, dude. They're fuckerinoed. It's a real problem. All right, what are we on?
Ask you a question.
College students on the economy. Oh, we got some Zoomers in here.
I was fascinated by something that Kristen and Valentina said. Kristen, you talked about community.
Yes, I do believe Bernie is the best candidate for moving the left's agenda forward.
And he's tried some interesting things like going on to radio shows. When you guys talk about the candidates that you like, how are they reaching you successfully? Are you finding them online? Are they having...
Oh, really quick reminder to everyone who's in YouTube chat right now. If you go to my website, vosh.gg, you sign up through YouTube and you join my chat. That is a chat that not only has sick-ass emotes, I will also be able to pay attention to it more. Okay? Just letting you know. If you want to grab my attention, there's no point in asking me from YouTube chat.
From social media, but online. So he's been great on social media. And what I think it's been great is that, okay, all the candidates are on social media, but he's been great at actually communicating his policy through social media.
We're talking about Bernie,
so, of course, you get this like 10, 15-second videos, but he's been able to squeeze that information in those short videos, short text. And I think that that's how he has pulled me closer, you know, actually giving me access to his policy, even if it's just through quick social media videos and texts.
And I think it's definitely about like striking a balance between kind of establishing a brand and getting more into the nitty-gritty of your policy. So somebody like Beto O'Rourke, who has a great image, who people think is very attractive, like great overall branding, versus somebody who's more in-depth about their policy issues, definitely striking that balance is going to be important.
I mean, what do you think resonates more to your generation? Is it the brand or is it the substance?
The brand draws you in.
Right.
So you have to have both.
Yeah, no one's going to go on any candidate's website, anyone our age, unless they're seeing their brand firsthand. Like, it's going to be hard for any of these candidates to put all of their policies onto social media. Like, on Twitter, you can only use so many characters, but what they can do is get enough support and interact with people, especially young people, and get them interested enough to maybe say, oh, why don't I go on this person's website and then actually go deeper into what they're trying to do.
But I also feel like we are the generation that's very much focused on policy as well. And that's kind of what makes us different from the rest of, you know, our parents' generation. We want specific answers for specific questions.
I fucking hate these people. Is everyone familiar here with the term manufacturing consent? It existed before Chomsky, but he's the one who made it most prominent, you know? The idea is that in order to get a population on board with a set of policies or politicians that act contrary to their class interests, you can't just force them to do it. You have to socially condition them in a way that makes them want it. So if I was a college student, okay, and I'm watching this, the fucking NBC DNC primaries debate pre-stream, and I'm watching like, here, let's get some college students up, and a bunch of like incredibly attractive, professionally dressed college students stand up there, and one of them's like, yes, Beto O'Rourke has really touched me with his compelling 15-minute segments that really, 15-second segments on social media that really reach into the heart of American issues. This is the epitome of manufacturing consent. It is a way of orchestrating this political theater in a way to make the unpalatable palatable. It's a form of social programming. In reality, the majority of the candidates available right now are absolute trash bags. Where's that Medium article that Shu linked on Twitter? Medium.com recently... No, this isn't it. No, this isn't it. Hold on. Hold on, I'm going to go to Shoe's. Shoe's Twitter. Shoe? Help me out here. Oh shit, BP Factory with the incredibly generous $20. Thank you, comrade. A little something for my favorite political streamer. A little something from my favorite stream boy or girl or NB. I love you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Shoe, shoe, shoe on head. I'm gonna get you one day. Shoe, shoe, shoe on head. You're gonna have bread in your name. Oh yeah, Tulsi Gabbard's coming in hot and ready for that. Look at this shit. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Listen, pardon me. Allow me to be sexist for a moment. Fucking nice. Okay? That's enough commenting on the appearances of women today, okay? Fuck, where's that article? No, wait, where the shit is that article? Wait, where'd that article go? I scrolled past it? Am I an idiot? No. 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 I did scroll past it like an idiot. What are we on? Okay, just like an ad or whatever. The Medium recently put out a pretty good article guide because of the 2020 Democratic candidates you shouldn't vote for. Can we go over Biden's really quick? Because there's some shit in here that even I didn't know, okay? I knew this. Fought against desegregating schools, voted for the Iraq War and said he would do it again. Wrote the crime bill that intentionally led to mass incarceration, which put him to the right of Reagan and Bush. Opposed Roe v. Wade and wants states to be able to overturn it. We've got all of his creepy sexual assault stuff. Racist comments. Works with racists and segregationists. A part of his crusade against desegregating schools, he was the only member of the Senate Judiciary Committee to block 2 black appointees to the Department of Justice. Lies about marching in the Civil Rights Movement. His treatment of Anita Hill. Supported the war on drugs. Voted to expand the death penalty. Opposes Medicare for all. Opposed LGBTQ rights until recently. Supports the NRA and its massive anti-gun control legislation. Votes to expand deportation. Plagiarized the language of fossil fuel groups in his climate crisis plan, voted to ban immigrants with HIV, locking up Haitian refugees, not Haitian immigrants, Haitian refugees in Guantanamo Bay, sides with Trump in backing the right-wing coup in Venezuela. We stand Maduro. It's the whole... It's like everything. It's everything. Joe Biden is not... I'm not joking. If Joe Biden ends up being the DNC candidate, I might go full fucking accelerationist and vote for Trump. I'm not joking. He's worse than Hillary in every conceivable way. Says the CIA torture report is not a black stain on the country, but actually a badge of honor. Worsened the opioid epidemic. Anti-progressive campaign surrogate Ed Rendell. Charlottesville's a... Full fucking accelerationist, boys. Anyway, it's a good article. Read it over. I'm just paraphrasing it because I'm lazy.
That debate go down. From that night, actually,
Amazing.
It says Senator Kennedy more effective in TV debate. Said
Amazing. Like giving donations. You can't donate to me when I haven't done anything yet. Ciancius with the $1. When we finally have some content uploaded, will you rep mine, Sophia's, and Moon's new podcast channel? Yeah, I'll rep you. I gotta be careful with my reps because a lot of people want reps, but yeah, I'll rep you. Posadas John with the $1. It's Bernie or bust. Tulsi and Elizabeth are a distant second, but I wouldn't kill myself if either of them got it. But may the deep gods save us if Biden gets the nomination. Posadas John ahead of the fucking curve. I agree. Fuck Joe Biden. And thank you again, BP Factory. Seaman Slurper with the phenomenal name and the $1.17. Pete Buttigieg looks like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Listen, we don't want to talk. Listen, okay? That's a point in his favor. Can we not talk about that? Tucker Haas with the $2.50. Watch the North. Nothing is coming from the South. I don't know what that means. Catman666 with the $2. My college peers are into O'Rourke. You? I literally don't understand why anyone would be into O'Rourke. I actually do not get it. Oh, and Dameron68 with the $6. Hey Vosh, my friends are planning a protest outside DeKalb County Jail on the 1st of July. Could I get a shout out? If you're not, I'd still probably be asleep, still asleep with you, so it's okay. I am currently shouting out a protest outside DeKalb County Jail on the 1st of July. Good luck. I dab in your honor. I remember Re-Education was there fairly recently as well, so Godspeed. I hate leaving my house. No, if I remember, I'll shout you out on the day of as well.
It was January, and Reagan's poll numbers.
Look at this shit. The NBC stream has 72,000 people watching. Why doesn't my stream have 72,000 people watching? What is this number? Only a number of people equal to double the size of my graduating class in high school watching me simultaneously and funding my political dreams? Honestly, what is up? Also, holy shit. Oh my god, these super chats. Jesus, fuck. Jonesy Jones with the $2. We can and will donate. Cake that Nazi cash. Oh, you nasty cash. Fuck me. As I'm seeing Nazis coming out of the fucking woodwork these days. Robert Dawson with the $2. Bernie or Slicey Boy in Minecraft, of course. I don't support political violence here on this channel. And Aiden Keene with the $10. I have ties to socialist revolutionary armies and can say without a doubt that Biden would be considered a fascist by their standards. That sounds scary. Thanks for the $10. Also, yes, fuck Biden. But secondarily, have fun with your cool friends. Probably cooler than mine. Not as cool as my GF, though. I love you. She has her earbuds in. Mr. E with the $2. You ain't done squat. Take my money. Fuck off.
I heard you say I love you, and I love you too.
I love you also, too.
You're cooler than me.
I mean, maybe.
You are.
Are we there yet? 8
Reagan
minutes
the
till.
general, who won all but one state.
Fuck off. Adult, fuck me with the donos. Adult Beef Swelling with the $5. Gonna be doing a speech on anarchism and what it means to me personally in August to the Chicago Socialist Party as an invited guest. Wish me luck. Oh shit, you're an invited guest of the Chicago Socialist Party? That's pretty sick. Fuck. Well, I mean, shit. Rep the fucking Black Panther legacy. Do cool shit. Do crime. Be gay. And have a great time, comrade. I wish you the best of luck. RAXL with the $149. Don't donate. Fuck your rules, you tanky scum. You fucking contrarians. Don't donate $100 to me. And LTS with the $5. Bernie is the last chance for real leftist movement in the United States. No leftist movement has made more strides toward creating real socialism than the DSA. The future of socialism is DemSoc. For now. Also, Jesus, fuck you guys. Y Guy with the $20. Kick some fascist butt, comrade. Ooh, thank you, comrade. Fuck, that is incredibly generous of you. I really, really appreciate it.
Rebellion, Stonewall, Sunday at 9 on MSNBC.
Amazing. I'm gonna have to, like, unironically, like, turn down the volume of the donations if you guys are going to be this fucking generous during the stream. Fuck me. You guys are crazy. Here, I'll turn it down a little bit. You guys are being fucking wild today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I really, really do. It's insane to me how lucky I've been. There. That ought to do it.
Here at the nation's capital.
There's now an open investigation.
Blockbuster new reporting today on this.
This is the deadliest school shooting.
The Supreme Court upheld the revised version.
Well, this new report comes amid a staggering amount of news.
Breaking news tonight.
Can we get started?
NBC News was first out with this scoop
today. It's been an extraordinary night watching this develop. So, a lot to talk about.
Oh! Oh!
The first Democratic presidential debate is just minutes away as
Oh.
viewers across the...
Oh, wait, that's the wrong thing to mute.
The contenders discuss some of the most important issues facing the country. Michael, Zerlina, Alex are all back with us here in the studio. So, final thoughts, Alex. Is there anyone tonight who you think might be able to steal
to try to distinguish herself from Warren's big, huge fundamental change plans, and she's going to give you just a few things that America can.
I love you all very much. You're beautiful. I'll have to read the rest of the donations after the stream. Thank you so much for your support. You're beautiful, and I love you. We gotta focus. We gotta focus.
You agree? I see you nodding your head.
I mean, I do think there's an opportunity for Amy Klobuchar because she's the most different from those top 5 folks.
Because she's more moderate?
Right, because she's more moderate. But I think she's the one person in tonight's debate that could challenge Joe Biden in that lane, right? Nobody else is going.
No one else is willing to compromise on the principles of progressivism as hard as this bitch.
It's a party. And so this early in the primary, you need that activist energy. You need those people organizing and knocking on doors and fundraising and making calls so you're growing your coalition. So I don't know that there's that many people in the base that would support her, but she certainly has a message and can vie for that central lane.
We need activists on the ground promoting the agenda of moderation. No one else is willing to compromise as hard as her, except for Joe Biden.
Members of the Hispanic diaspora of people, they are the fastest growing minority group in this country. And as we saw in 2018, they're mobilizing, they're learning the political process, they're becoming more engaged and involved. And I'm looking forward to seeing what policies that he will actually try to talk about as being as concise as possible that not only will benefit Hispanics, but also African Americans, sort of bringing both groups together, which I think is pivotal.
Which issue specifically?
I think criminal justice reform, which also impacts Hispanics. I think voting, that also impacts Hispanics, education, and health care. Those 4 issues, I think, are very pivotal that both groups can look at and say, you know what? They're pivotal for
everyone. All right, listen, I personally am standing Tulsi Gabbard, and as a secondary, Elizabeth Warren here, okay? Tulsi Gabbard, I'm on. Elizabeth Warren, I'm on, okay? But
taking the stage, and as we mentioned earlier, they're taking their positions at the podium based on where they fell in the most recent poll. As a final thought, Zerlina, is there anything that we should be looking for tonight, or even asking ourselves as citizens while
Bernie's
we're
tomorrow.
watching?
I think that I'm going to be listening in for talk about reproductive health care. That's an issue that was not brought up. It was not asked as a question from a news organization's moderator until Hillary Clinton
remember
brought it
what
up
we
herself
lost.
in a debate. There were
Never
no
forget who we
abortion.
lost.
There were no questions about funding from Planned Parenthood and the stripping back of reproductive freedom. So that being a central issue with Georgia and Missouri and all these other states passing very restrictive laws to go straight at Roe v. Wade, I think that these candidates need to speak clearly on that issue and look like they understand what's at stake for American women, because again, women are going to be the difference.
Gravel was going to be here, but he got a my will mode on his way over. He was taken out.
Previously.
Which is interesting because
Mike Gravel had information which could lead to the arrest of Hillary Clinton.
Hopefully the debate stage, but also just into the election cycle that we didn't really anticipate. For example, reparations, right?
Yeah,
or even the Green New Deal. I mean, these were once thoughts that you would consider, you know, in your freshman dorm poli-sci class, and now they're probably going to reach the national debate stage. So are there any other issues, Alex, that we should look out for or listen for that maybe haven't been discussed or even reported? There we go.
You know, I actually think just because of the events of today, immigration is just going to be top of mind for everybody, and it would be curious if any of the candidates really go beyond just comprehensive immigration reform and attacking Trump, but actually articulate a positive, a different vision.
Not many of these people are proposing comprehensive immigration reform. What? That's not the DNC's primary platform.
The only Latino candidate in the race.
Right.
And as they articulate that, we heard those students say they wanted the style and they want the substance. But is this going to be an opening night about style? I mean, are these candidates going to try to grab those tomorrow morning headlines?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Everybody's fighting for that.
Everyone agrees on that.
You have to. I mean, I worked for Romney, Gingrich, and Carson. I've been to every single presidential debate with those 3 individuals. You have to have a moment that
Romney, Gingrich, and Carson.
Say,
what an esteemed political legacy.
Now, because the media dynamics have changed from 4, 8, 12 years ago.
They're so instantaneous.
Right.
Right.
I would argue it's even changed from 2016. It's a little bit quicker than it was in 2016. And also now there are a lot of trolls and bots that we weren't aware that there were trolls and bots in 16. And disinformation. So now we have to be on
God help me. Okay, everyone, remember as we're going into this, the goal of the DNC is to grab as many voters as possible to secure their own party interests without capitulating at all to the demands of socialists. They serve the exact same set of donors, the exact same set of political antagonizers, the exact same set of lobbyists as the Republican Party. They're just there to catch up all the dribblings from the people the Republican Party was too racist or too obviously contradictory to catch. But they serve the exact same masters.
Guys, but for now, we are going to hand it over to our team in Miami, and we hope that you enjoy watching this debate as much as we will. See you soon.
What's the incentive for the DNC to win the election? Well, the DNC, it's like a huge party platform, so they have an individual interest to win because it allows them to secure their, like, I'll do this for this big business, we get kickbacks. It's all corruption to the very top. Their incentive to win stems not at all from, like, representative interest of the American people, but instead of maintaining the same, like, power positions while being the ones to benefit from the kickbacks they would get by collaborating with businesses. It's that simple.
Joined in our questioning tonight by our colleagues, Jose Diaz-Balart, Chuck Todd, and Rachel Maddow.
Voters are trying to nail down where the candidates stand on the issues. What sets them apart, and which of these presidential hopefuls has what it takes?
Well, now it's time to find out.
Tonight, round one. New Jersey Senator Cory Booker.
Oh, shit.
Housing Secretary
Cory's in the
Castro,
house.
New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio. Former Maryland Congressman John Delaney. Hawaii Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. Washington Governor Jay Inslee, Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar, former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, Ohio Congressman Tim Ryan, and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. From NBC News,
The Native American representation. We're stacked.
The Democratic candidates debate.
I'm so glad Bernie and Biden are together. What's the fucking battle bus noise? We're dropping in, boys. Let's go. Tilted Towers. Let's get this battle royale started. We dropping.
Here in the Arts Center and all across the country. Tonight we're going to take on many of the most pressing issues of the moment, including immigration, the situation unfolding at our border, and the treatment of migrant children.
And we're going to talk about the tensions with Iran, climate change, and of course, we'll talk about the economy, those kitchen table issues so many
How's the audio balancing?
every day.
And some quick rules of the road before we begin. 20 candidates qualified for this first debate. We'll hear from 10 tonight and 10 more tomorrow. The breakdown for each was selected at random. The candidates will have 60 seconds to answer and 30 seconds for any follow-ups.
Because of this large field, not every person will be able to comment on every topic. But over the course of the next 2 hours, we will hear from everyone. We'd also like to ask the audience to keep the reactions to a minimum. We are not going to be shy about making sure the candidates stick to time tonight.
All right, so with that business out of the way, we want to get to it. And we'll start this evening with Senator Elizabeth Warren. Senator, good evening to you.
What you don't see is the sniper in the balcony.
Many plans, free college, free childcare, government health care, cancellation of student debt, new taxes, new regulations, the breakup of major corporations. But this comes at a time when 71% of Americans say the economy is doing well, including 60% of Democrats. What do you say to those who worry this kind of significant change could be risky to the economy?
So I think of it this way. Who is this economy really working for? It's doing great for a thinner and thinner slice at the top. It's doing great for giant drug companies. This is not doing great for people who are trying to get a prescription filled. It's doing great for people who want to invest in private prisons, just not for the African Americans and Latinx whose families are torn apart, whose lives are destroyed, and whose communities are ruined.
She's like your
Abuela.
It's doing
great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, just not for the rest of us who are watching climate change bear down upon us. When you've got a government, when you've got an economy that does great for those with money and isn't doing great for everyone else, that is corruption, pure and simple. We need to call it out, we need to attack it head on, and we need to make structural change in our government, in our economy, and in our country.
That was more than 60 seconds. That was more than 60 seconds. Squad W, boys.
You
Squad
call
W, letting the women have the
programs
mic.
like free college, something you might do if you were, quote, a magic genie. To be blunt, are the government programs and benefits that some of your rivals are offering giving your voters, people, a false sense of what's actually achievable?
Well, first, the economy. We know that not everyone is sharing in this prosperity, and Donald Trump just sits in the White House and gloats about what's going on when you have so many people that are having trouble affording college and having trouble affording their premiums.
Is she tearing up?
So I do get concerned about paying for college for rich kids. I do. But I think my plan is a good one, and my plan would be to, first of all, make community college free. And make sure that everyone else besides that top percentile gets help with their education. My own dad and my sister got their first degrees with community college. There's many paths to success, as well as certifications.
Got my AA
Secondly,
at Santa
I use
Monica
Pell
College.
Grants. I doubled them from $6,000 to $12,000 a year and expanded to the number of families that get covered, to families that make up to $100,000. And then the third thing I would do is make it easier for students to pay off their student loans. Because I can tell you this, if billionaires can pay off their yachts, students should be able to pay off their student loans.
That's time, thank you.
Ooh, they held her to time. Fucking second
What we've just been
class.
discussing and talking about
Second
is
class
how
candidates.
much fundamental change to the economy is desirable and how much is actually doable. In that vein, some Democrats want a marginal individual tax rate of 70% on the very highest earners, those making more than $10 million a year.
100%.
Would you support that?
100%.
And if not, what would your top individual rate be?
100%.
This economy has got to work for everyone. And right now we know that it isn't. And it's going to take all of us coming together to make sure
Where's the
that it
skateboard?
does. Necesitamos incluir cada persona en el éxito de esta economía. Pero si queremos hacer eso, necesitamos incluir cada persona en nuestra democracia. Cada votante necesitamos
Everyone else giving him the fucking
y cada
look.
voz necesitamos escuchar. Right now, we have a system that
Not even
favors those
speaking
who
a
can
real
pay
language.
for access and outcomes. That's how you explain an economy that is rigged to corporations and to the very wealthiest. A $2 trillion tax cut that favored corporations while they were sitting on record piles of cash, and the very wealthiest in this country at a time of historic wealth inequality. A new democracy that is revived because we returned power to the people, no PACs, no gerrymandering, automatic and same-day voter registration to bring in more voters, and a new Voting Rights Act to get rid of the barriers that are in place now. That's how we each have a voice in our democracy and make this economy work for everybody.
That's time, sir. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer if you want to
Hey,
answer the
mi
direct
hombre.
question. Would you support a 70%
It's
individual
me,
marginal
Beto.
tax rate? Yes, no, or pass?
I would support a tax rate and a tax code that is fair to everyone. Tax capital at the
70%?
same rate that you tax ordinary
answer the
income.
fucking question.
Take that corporate tax rate up to 28%. You would generate the revenues you need to pay for the programs we're talking about.
70%, sir? 70%
Senator
spends a
Booker.
minute speaking Spanish,
There is
never
a
answers the
debate in this
question.
party right now about the role of corporations, as you know. Senator Warren, in particular, put out a plan to break up tech companies like Facebook, Amazon, and Google.
Oh, no.
You've said we should not, quote, be running around pointing at companies and breaking them up without any kind of process. Why do you disagree?
I don't think I disagree. I think we have a serious problem in our country with corporate consolidation. And you see the evidence of that in how dignity is being stripped from labor. And we have people that work full-time jobs and still can't make a living wage. We see that because consumer prices are being raised by pharmaceutical companies that often have monopolistic holds on drugs.
Dude, Corey's in the
And you see that
house.
by just the fact that this is actually an economy that's hurting small businesses and not allowing them to compete. One of the most aggressive bills in the Senate to deal with corporate consolidation is mine about corporate consolidation in the ag sector. So I feel very strongly about the need to check the corporate consolidation and let the free market work. And I'll tell you this. I live in a low-income black and brown community. I see every single day that this economy is not working for average Americans. The indicators that are being used from GDP to Wall Street's rankings is not helping people in my community. It is about time that we have an economy that works for everybody, not just the wealthiest in our nation.
But quickly, Senator Booker, you
Same
did
with
say
every
that you
person.
didn't think it was right to name names, to name companies and single them out, as Senator Warren has briefly. Why is that?
Well, again, I will single out companies like Halliburton or Amazon that pay nothing in taxes and our need to change that. And when it comes to antitrust law, what I will do is, number one, appoint judges that will enforce it. Number two, have a DOJ and a Federal Trade Commission that will go through the processes necessary to check this kind of corporate concentration. At the end of the day, we have too much of a problem with corporate power growing.
Wait, I just realized.
We see that with everything from...
This is a YouTube stream. I can pause it. I don't have to talk over them. Amazing. No pausing? Okay, no pausing. We're keeping with the energy, okay? Man, look at his face. Hey, look at this dude's head.
Citizens United and the way they're trying to influence Washington. It's about time that we have a president that fights for the people in this country who need to have someone that's a champion for them.
Thank you, Senator.
They all
Senator
have the
Warren,
same. They all do the same shit. We need this economy is not working for the most of us. Like.
So the way I understand this is there is way too much consolidation now in giant industries in this country. That hurts workers, it hurts small businesses, it hurts independent farmers.
Back to live? Jesus, there.
Have been making the campaign contributions.
There, Warren's
have
dead.
Been funding the
I just
super
skipped
PACs,
20 seconds.
Have been out there making
Why
sure
does it
that
matter?
their influence is heard and felt in every single decision that gets made in Washington. Where I want to start this is I want to return government to the people, and that means calling out the names of the monopolists and saying I have the courage to go after them.
Thank you.
It's the exact same rhetoric every time. I need someone to go up there and be like, listen up, you've all been lied to. Oh shit, this dude's here for Syria. Holy fuck, look at that gaze. It's a JoJo villain.
Thank you very much for that question, Lester. You know, I grew up with a mother who raised my brother Joaquin and me as a single parent. And I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to rent a home and to worry about whether you're going to be able to pay the rent at the first of the month. And to see a mom work very, very hard and know that moms across this country are getting paid less simply because they're women.
I respect the fuck out of this guy's eyebrows.
Something we should have done a long time ago, which is to pass the Equal Rights Amendment finally in this country.
These are presidential eyebrows.
Also pursue legislation so that women are paid equal pay for equal work in this country. It's past time that we did that. And, you know, we have to do this. If we want to be the most prosperous nation in the 21st century, we need to make sure that women are paid what they deserve.
All right, thank you. I want to put the same question to Congresswoman Gabbard. Your thoughts on equal pay?
Hey, Gabbard.
Well,
remember, Gabbard's yoked.
Let's recognize the situation we're in, that the American people deserve a president who will put your interests ahead of the rich and powerful. That's not what we have right now. I enlisted in the Army National Guard after the al-Qaeda terror attacks on 9/11, so I could go after those who had attacked us on that day. I still serve as a major. Served over 16 years, deployed twice to the Middle East,
Jesus
and in Congress
Christ.
served on the Foreign Affairs and Armed Services Committees for over 6 years. I know the importance of our national security, as well as the terribly high cost of war. And for too long, our leaders have failed us, taking us from one regime change war to the next, leading us into a new Cold War and arms race, costing us trillions of our hard-earned taxpayer dollars and countless lives.
Tulsi, what would you do to make the world a better place? I have over 18 confirmed kills.
Invest those dollars into serving your needs. Things like health care, a green economy, good-paying jobs, protecting our environment, and so much more.
Mayor,
remember, she came to this yoke. Anyone backtalks her, she's going to knock their fucking head off.
City in the United
We
States,
saw.
but it's also one of the cities in the country with the
fuck.
greatest gap between the wealthy and the poor. How would you address income inequality?
Well, we've been addressing income inequality in New York City by raising wages, by raising benefits, by putting money back in the hands of working people. $15 minimum wage, paid sick days, pre-K for all, things that are making a huge difference in working people's lives. But let me tell you, what we're hearing here already in the first round of questions is that battle for the heart and soul of our party. I want to make it clear. This is supposed to be the party of working people. Yes, we're supposed to be for a 70% tax rate on the wealthy. Yes, we're supposed to be for free college, free public college.
Bernie has moved the platform so far left.
We are supposed to break up big corporations when they're not serving our democracy.
This is the mayor of New York.
This Democratic Party has to be strong and bold and progressive. And in New York, we've proven that we can do something very different. We can put money back in the hands of working people. And let me tell you, every time you talk about investing in people and their communities, you hear folks say there's not enough money. What I say to them every single time is there's plenty of money in this world. There's plenty of money in this country. It's just in the wrong hands.
That's what I'm saying.
Democrats have to fix that.
Bernie has moved the platform so far left. It's that'll be his legacy, you know?
To help American workers and the American people. Right? This is the issue that all of us here on the campaign trail.
It is.
We need to make sure everyone has a living wage. And I've called for a doubling of the earned income tax credit, raising the minimum wage, and creating paid family leave. That will create a situation where people actually have a living wage. That gets right to workers. Then we got to fix our public education system. It's not delivering the results our kids need, nor is college and post-high school career and technical training programs doing that. You know, I'm very different than everyone else here on the stage. Prior to being in Congress, I was an entrepreneur. I started 2 businesses. I created thousands of jobs. I spent my whole career helping small to mid-sized businesses all over the country. 5,000 of them I supported. The Obama administration gave me an award for lending to disadvantaged communities. I know how to create jobs. We need a short-term strategy, which is to put money in the pockets of workers with the earned income tax credit, raising the minimum wage and creating paid family leave. And then we need to have a long-term strategy to make sure this country is competitive and we're creating jobs everywhere in this country.
Governor Inslee, how would you address income inequality?
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. I think plans are great. But
how would you address income inequality? I've created many jobs.
Unions are going to bring us a long overdue raise in America. And I'm proud of standing up for unions. I've got a plan to reinvigorate collective bargaining so we can increase wages finally. I marched with the SEIU folks. It is not right that the CEO of McDonald's makes 2,100 times more than the people slinging hash at McDonald's. And the next thing I do is put people to work in the jobs of the present and the future. Look at Donald Trump is simply wrong. He says wind turbines cause cancer. We know they cause jobs. And we know that we can put millions of people to work in the clean energy jobs of the future. Carpenters, IBEW's members, machinists. We're doing it in my state today. And then we can do what America always does. Lead the world and invent the future and put people to work. That's what we're going to do.
Congressman Ryan, President Trump, and you just
people cranking some
him,
bowls.
Promised that manufacturing jobs were all coming back to places like your home state of Ohio.
Manufacturing jobs coming back.
Yes, I believe you can. But first, let's say the president came. He said, don't sell your house to people in Youngstown, Ohio. And in his administration, just in the last 2 years, we lost $4,000 4,000 jobs at a General Motors facility. That rippled throughout our community. General Motors got a tax cut. General Motors got a bailout. And then they have the audacity to move a new car that they're going to produce to Mexico.
It's not coming back.
I've had family members that have to unbolt a machine from the factory floor, put it in a box, and ship it to China. My area where I come from in Northeast Ohio, this issue we're talking about here, it's been going on 40 years. This is not a new phenomenon in the United States of America. The bottom 60% haven't seen a raise since 1980. Meanwhile, the top 1% control 90% of the wealth. We need an industrial policy saying we're going to dominate building electric vehicles. There's going to be 30 million made in the next 10 years. I want half of them made in the United States. I want to dominate the solar industry and manufacture those.
This is not how you fix income inequality. Protectionist industrial policies.
We've had an industrial policy in the United States for decades now, and it's basically been let giant corporations do whatever they want to do. Giant corporations have exactly one loyalty, and that is to profits. And if they can save a nickel by moving a job to Mexico or to Asia or to Canada, they're going to do it. So here's what I propose for an industrial policy. Start with a place where there's a real need. There's going to be a worldwide need for green technology, ways to clean up the air, ways to clean up the water. And we can be the ones to provide that. We need to go tenfold in our research and development
that I
of
agree
green
with.
energy going forward. And then
America can never be the manufacturing capital of the world anymore, but we can be a tech capital of the world.
They can make all kinds of products from it, but they have to be manufactured right here in the United States of America. And then we have to double down and sell it around the world. There's a $23 trillion market coming for green products. We should be the leaders and the owners, and we should have that 1.2 million.
We can, if we invested in it, we could be like a tech giant. We could be to green energy what Japan was to digital tech in the 80s.
Between you, many people watching at home have health insurance.
Is comparative advantage just degrees of exploitation?
Who here would
yes.
abolish their private health insurance in favor of a government-run plan? Just a show of hands, starting off with.
We're never going to be a production giant again. It's not happening. The economy just doesn't work that way.
Wants to keep private insurance in addition to a government health care plan. Why is an incremental approach, in your view, better than a sweeping overhaul?
Well, I think it's a bold approach. It's something that Barack Obama wanted to do when we were working on the Affordable Care Act, and that is a public option. I am just simply concerned about kicking half of America
she got some PS1
off of their health
era
insurance
hair.
in 4 years, which is exactly what this bill says. So let me go on beyond that. There is a much bigger issue in addition to that, and that is pharmaceuticals. The president literally went on TV, on Fox, and said that people's heads would spin when they see how much he would bring down pharmaceutical prices. Instead, 2,500 drugs have gone up in double digits since he came into office. Instead, he gave $100 billion in giveaways to the pharma companies. For the rest of us, for the rest of America, that's what we call at home, all foam and no beer. We got nothing out of it. And so my proposal is to do something about pharma, to take them on, to allow negotiation under Medicare, to bring in less expensive drugs from other countries. And pharma thinks
back in my farm,
well,
all horn and no bull.
Senator
I hurt
Warren,
my
you
hand with
signed
that.
on to Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All plan. It would
Fucking
put
folksy
essentially everybody on
euphemisms.
Medicare and then eliminate private plans that offer similar coverage. Is that the plan or path that you would pursue as president?
So yes, I'm with Bernie on Medicare for All, and let me tell you why. I spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke. And one of the #1 reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills. And that's not just for people who don't have insurance. It's for people who have insurance. Look at the business model of an insurance company. It's to bring in as many dollars as they can in premiums and
Yeah, so far Warren's doing good. They're giving her a ton of time to talk, though.
Healthcare. That leaves families with rising premiums, rising
Everyone else
co-pays,
just like waiting for their turn.
Fighting with insurance
She's
companies
got the
to try
conch.
to get the health
They
care
lack critical
that their
information.
doctors say that they and their children need. Medicare for All solves that problem. And I understand. There are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible, we just can't do it, have a lot of political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, health care is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights.
Warren's been given the most time to talk. They didn't give her the 60-second warning when she had her opening statement. They're clearly propping her.
Private insurance. This year you're saying you're no longer sure. Can you explain why?
Oh, boy.
My goal is to ensure that every American
Say it in
is
Spanish.
well enough to live to their full potential
Say it in
because
Spanish.
they have health care. In Laredo, Texas, I met a young man, 27 years old, told me that he'd been to a doctor once in his life. And on that visit, he was told he had diabetes, he was told he had glaucoma, and he was told untreated because he doesn't have health care, he'll be dead before the age of 40.
Spanish or vanish.
So getting to guaranteed, high-quality, universal health care as quickly and surely as possible has to be our goal. The ability to afford your prescriptions and go to a primary care provider. The ability to see a mental health care provider. In Texas, the single largest provider of mental health care services is the county jail system today. And health care also has to mean
that every woman can make her own decisions about her own body and has access to the care that makes that possible.
Listen, I'll support Beto, but I need someone to fill in his Cupid's bow. Like the rift above his lip, I need like some caulking fluid or rubber cement.
But if you're a member of
for that presidential upper lip.
Negotiated for a health care plan that you like because it works for you and your family, you're able to keep it. We preserve choice.
Sir, your time is up. Sir, the snipers have their sights trained on you.
Just to be very clear, I'll give you 10 seconds. Would you replace private insurance?
No, I think that choice is fundamental to our ability to get everybody cared for.
Private insurance is not working for tens of millions of Americans. When you talk about the co-pays, the deductibles, the premiums, the out-of-pocket expenses, it's not working.
He's taken
so for those not working, they can choose Medicare. For the culinary workers in the
got to start by acknowledging the system is not working for people.
They're able to keep them.
Why are you defending private insurance?
Say they like their private health insurance, by the way. It should be noted that 100 million Americans. I mean, I think we should be the party that keeps what's working and fixes what's broken.
God damn it.
I mean,
it's the war.
I mean, we should give everyone in this country health care as a basic human right for free. Full stop. But we should also give them the option to buy private insurance. Why do we have to stand for taking away something from people? And also, it's bad policy. If you go to every hospital in this country and you ask them one question, which is how would it have been for you last year if every one of your bills were paid at the Medicare rate? Every single hospital administrator said they would close.
That's because you go after the insurance companies too, you dumb fuck.
Stay at current Medicare rates. So to some extent, we're basically supporting a bill that will have every hospital closed. I mean, my dad was a union electrician. Right, I actually grew up in a working-class family. He loved the health care that the IBEW gave him. And I just always think about my dad and anything I would do from a policy perspective. He'd look at me and he'd say, good job, John, for getting health care for every American. But why are you taking my health care away?
I've let this play out a little bit because I'm fascinated to hear the daylight between you. Congresswoman Gabbard, weigh in here.
I think we're talking about this in the wrong way. You're talking about one bill over another bill. Really what we're talking about is our objective, making sure that every single sick American in this country is able to get the health care that they need.
Yo, looking straight into the camera. Holy fuck.
Is the way to do that. I also think that employers will recognize how much money will be saved by supporting a Medicare for All program, a program that will reduce the administrative costs, reduce the bureaucratic costs, and make sure that everyone gets that quality health care that they need.
Stop! It's the insurance companies.
Countries in the world who have universal health care, every one of them has some form of a role of private insurance. I think that's what we've got to look at, taking the best of these ideas, but making sure unequivocally that no sick American goes without getting the care that they need, regardless of how much or little money they have in their pocket.
Congresswoman, thanks. Let me turn to Senator Booker on this. Senator
you can't,
Booker,
whether it's private insurance or
hugely important to people. So tell us where
subsidized health care, you need to go after the insurance companies.
It's a healthcare issue, but in communities like mine, low-income communities, it's an education issue.
The insurance companies literally just fucking decided to make everything twice, 3 times the expense it needed to be.
Because people that do not have good health care do not succeed at work. It's even a retirement issue because in my community, African Americans have a lower life expectancy because of poorer health care.
Yeah, it's also
hospitals. Fuck
hospitals, fuck insurance.
Health care is not just a human right, it should be an American right. And I believe the best way to get there is Medicare for all. But I have an urgency about this. When I am president of the United States, I'm not going to wait. We have to do the things immediately that are going to provide better care.
Shit,
and on
dude,
this debate, I'm sorry. There are too many people profiteering off of the pain of people in America, from pharmaceutical companies to insurers. Literally, the overhead for insurers that they charge is 15%, while Medicare's overhead is only at 2%. We can do this better, and every single day I will be fighting to give people more access and more affordable costs until we get to my goal, which is every American having health care.
I want to move back.
Sir, Cory Booker back in the House. Was Warren getting it again?
Insurance companies
look at the other guy. He laughed because he had his hand up, but Warren got it anyway.
$1 billion in profits out of the healthcare system. $23 billion, and that doesn't count the money that was paid to executives, the money that was spent lobbying Washington. We have a giant industry that wants our healthcare system to stay the way it is, because it's not working for families, but it sure as heck working for families. It's time for us to make families come
Warren's
first.
got the fucking con.
It should not be an option in the United States of America for any insurance company to deny women coverage for their exercise of their right of choice.
Jesus Christ.
And I am the only candidate here who has passed a law protecting a woman's right of reproductive health and health insurance.
This fucking
And I'm the only
pandering.
candidate who has passed a public option. And I respect everybody's goals and plans here. But we do have one candidate that's actually advanced the ball. And we got to have access for
Dude,
everyone.
sell yourself harder. Holy fuck. Wear a sandwich board on your chest.
I'm fascinated by this, Senator Klobuchar.
I just want to say there's 3 women up here that have fought pretty hard for a woman's right to choose. So I'll start with that.
Yeah, you went bad, dude.
I want to make very clear. I think
You left yourself open to this one.
of universal health care. And the idea I put out there, the public option, which the governor was just talking about, this idea is that you use Medicare or Medicaid without any insurance companies involved. You could do it either way. And the estimates are 13 million people would see a reduction in their premiums. 12 more million people would get covered. So I think it is a beginning and the way you start and the way you move to universal health care.
Secretary Castro, this one is for you. All of you on stage support a woman's right to an abortion. You all support some version of a government health care option. Would your plan cover abortion, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, it would. I don't believe only in reproductive freedom. I believe in reproductive justice.
Oh, shit. He brought out the big words for that one.
What that means is that just because a woman, or let's also not forget, someone in the trans community, a trans female.
Oh, shit. Trans rights.
Is poor doesn't mean they shouldn't have the right to exercise that right to choose. And so I absolutely would cover the right to have an abortion.
We need a
More than
reproductive
that,
crusade.
Everybody in this crowd and watching at home knows that in our country today, a person's right to choose is under assault in places like Missouri, in Alabama, in Georgia. I would appoint judges to the federal bench that understand the precedent of Roe v. Wade and will respect it. And in addition to that, make sure that
Remember,
we
Joe
fight hard
Biden
as we
literally fought
transition
against
our
Roe v.
healthcare
Wade.
system to one where everybody can get and exercise that right.
Senator Warren, would you put limits on
Warren
limits
again?
on abortion?
I would make certain that every woman has access to the
No
full
wonder
range
she's
of
wearing a
reproductive
fucking
health
purple
care
jacket, because
services,
she's
and that
clowning
includes
on these
birth control,
bitches
it
with the amount of
includes
time she's
abortion,
getting.
It includes everything for a woman. And I want to add on that, it's not enough for us to expect the courts to protect us. 47 years ago, Roe versus Wade was decided, and we've all looked to the courts all that time as state after state has undermined Roe, has put in exceptions, has come right up to the edge of taking away protection.
Your time is up, Senator.
We now
shit.
have an America where most people support
She wasn't
Roe versus
expecting
Wade.
that. Did
We
you
need to
see
make
that? She
federal law.
flinched.
Thank you. Jose?
Thank you.
They finally got her.
I want to kind of come back on
They're
the
setting her
discussion
up to
we were
knock
having
her
about
down.
Health and the opioid crisis. You represent a state where 14 of the 20 largest pharmaceutical companies are based. Should pharmaceutical companies that manufacture these drugs be held criminally liable for what they do?
They should absolutely be held criminally liable because they are liable and responsible. This is one of the reasons why, well before I was running for president, I said I would not take contributions from pharma companies, not take contributions from corporate PACs or pharma executives, because they are part of this problem. And this opioid addiction in our country, we in cities like mine,
This
have been
guy's
seeing
got
how
professional
we're trying to
wrestler
arrest
eyes.
our way
Look at his
out of
eyes and
addiction
eyebrows and
for
forehead
too
and shit.
long. It is time that we have
The way he
a
emotes.
national urgency to deal with this problem and make the solutions that are working to actually be the law of our land and make the pharmaceutical companies that are responsible help to pay for that.
Congressman
Would I
O'Rourke,
fight this
how
man?
would you do
Fuck no. This guy would drop kick me
Tonight
into
in
the
this
next
country,
state.
You have 2.3 million of our fellow Americans behind bars. It's the largest prison population on the face of the planet. Many are there for nonviolent drug crimes, including possession of marijuana, at a time that more than half the states have legalized it or decriminalized it. And yet, despite what Purdue Pharma has done, their connection
Remember
to
what
the
we could have
opioid
had
crisis
instead of
and the
Beto.
overdose deaths that we're seeing throughout this country.
Remember who we could
they've
have
been
had.
able to act with complete impunity and pay no consequences, not a single night in jail. Unless there's accountability and justice, this crisis will continue. In my administration, we will hold them to account. We will make sure that they pay a price, and we will help those who've been victims of this malfeasance in this country, get them treatment and long-term care.
I know immigration.
Just imagine. Mike Gravel in an 11 feet tall in a massive long coat, standing on top of all the gravel teams. 11 feet tall. They have to raise the podium for him, and he leans over into the microphone, and he gets the messages fed to him.
Good evening, everyone. Breaking news tonight from Washington.
I'm about to finna drop a floss on these corporate apologists. The crowd goes wild. Fuck me. I need to go pee.
We've met a lot of great people doing a lot of great things in their community.
The most trusted TV news anchor in America.
That's Nightly News. I'm Lester Holt.
A very busy news day.
Today's high-stakes confrontation.
Let's go live to the border where our colleagues... Exclusive video.
The country's top intelligence officials testifying.
NBC News gets an exclusive look inside.
Live here at the nation's capital.
There's now an open investigation.
Blockbuster new reporting today on this.
This is the deadliest school shooting.
The Supreme Court upheld the revised version.
Well, this new report comes amid a staggering amount of news.
Breaking news tonight exclusively here on
NBC News was first out with this scoop today.
It's been an extraordinary night watching this develop. So, a lot to talk about.
Tomorrow, the first real test of the 2020 presidential race continues with night 2 of the Democratic candidates debate. Biden, Sanders, Buttigieg, and Harris battle it out with 6 others. Who will make the most of the moment? The first Democratic debate, moderated by Lester Holt, Savannah Guthrie, Jose Diaz-Balart, Chuck Todd, and Rachel Maddow. Tomorrow at 9 Eastern on NBC, MSNBC, and Telemundo.
Okay, perfect.
We want to turn to an issue that has been in the news, especially this week. There are undocumented children being held alone in detention, even as close as Homestead, Florida, right here, less than 30 miles.
I'm getting more views than Chapo? Oh, fuck yes.
Fathers and mothers and children are dying while trying to enter the United States of America. We saw that image today. It broke our hearts, and they had names. Oscar Martinez and his 23-month-old daughter Valeria died trying to cross the river to ask for asylum in this country.
You pronounce the shit out of those names, dude. How much did you practice?
130,000 migrants were apprehended at the southern border. Secretary Castro, if you were president today, hoy, what would you specifically do?
Thank you very much, Jose. I'm very proud that in April I became the first candidate to put forward a comprehensive immigration plan. And we saw those images. Watching that image
I think this is going to be a little more divisive.
His daughter Valeria is heartbreaking.
Oy, Josuke.
It should also piss us all off. If I were president today...
Chapo is 8.6K viewers. Who lied to me?
I would sign an executive order that would get rid of Trump's zero
Fuck you
tolerance
guys.
policy,
Now I look like
the
an
Remain
idiot.
in Mexico policy, and the metering policy. This metering policy is basically what prompted Oscar and Valeria to make that risky swim across the river. They have been playing games with people who are coming and trying to seek asylum at our ports of entry. Oscar and Valeria went to a port of entry, and then they were denied the ability to make an asylum claim. So they got frustrated, and they tried to cross the river, and they died because of that.
On day one, sorry.
On day one, I would do that executive order that would address metering, and then I would follow that up in my first 100 days with immigration reform that would honor asylum claims, that would put undocumented immigrants, as long as they haven't committed a serious crime, on a pathway to citizenship, and that would go to the root cause of the issue, which is we need a Marshall Plan for Honduras and Guatemala and El Salvador.
Bring him in. Abolish ICE,
so that
too.
People can find safety and opportunity at home instead of coming to the United States to seek it.
Senator Booker, what would
We
you do
lefties shouldn't be stupid. We can't just like open borders day one, you know? Like this is a process. But so I'm willing to hear different like opinions on good.
La situación ahora es inaceptable.
Oh, no.
Es de presidente ha atacado, ha demonizado los inmigrantes. Es inaceptable. Voy a cambiar este. On day one, I will make sure that, number one, we end the ICE policies and the customs and border policies that are violating the human rights. When people come to this country, they do not leave their human rights at the border. Number two, I will make sure that we reinstate DACA, that we reinstate pathways to citizenship for DACA recipients, and to make sure that people that are here on temporary protected status can stay and
Dude has no
here.
earlobes. Would you want a president with no earlobes?
We need to make sure that we address the issues that made Oscar and Valeria come in the first place by making major investments in the Northern Triangle, not like this president is doing, by ripping away the resources we need to actually solve this problem. We cannot surrender our values and think that we're going to get border security. We actually will lose security and our values. We must fight for both.
Well, yeah, abolish ICE. I want to hear somebody say abolish ICE.
This is an important point. You know, my plan, and I'm glad to see that Senator Booker, Senator Warren, and Governor Inslee agree with me on this. My plan also includes getting rid of Section 1325 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, to go back to the way we used to treat this when somebody comes across the border, not to criminalize desperation.
Hey, that's a big one, yeah. Treating undocumented immigration as a criminal act is really fucked up.
Horrendous family separation. They use that law, Section 1325, to justify under the law separating little children from their families.
Jose,
and so I want to challenge every single candidate on this stage to support the repeal of Section 1325.
Castro booking on Corey.
As my friend here said, I agree with him on that issue, but folks should understand that the separation of children from families doesn't just go on at our border. It happens in our communities as ICE are ripping away parents from their American children, spouses and the like, and are creating
I want them to call out
in cities
why
all across this country, where parents are afraid to even drop their kids off to school or go to work. We must end those policies.
Say it. Why a war against people of color?
Look at the bottom line here. That tragic photo of that parent, that child, and I'm saying this as a father. Every American should feel that in their heart, and every American should say that is not.
When you say as a father, that's also identity politics, by the way.
Why we have this crisis in our system, because we're not being honest about the division that's been fomented in this country. The way that American citizens have been told that immigrants somehow created their misery and their pain and their challenges. For all the American citizens out there who feel you're falling behind, who feel
call out the
dream's
disinformation.
not working for you, the immigrants didn't do that to you. The big corporations did that to you.
Class consciousness.
The 1% did that to you.
Amazing.
We need to be the party of working people, and that includes a party of immigrants. But first, we have to tell working people in America who are hurting that we're going to be on their side every single time against those big corporations who created this mess to begin with. And remind people we're all in this together. If we don't change that debate, that politics that's holding us back, we won't get all these reforms people are talking about. That's what we need to do as Democrats.
Congresista, if I could, I'm sorry. Congresista O'Rourke, ¿qué haría usted en el primer día, si usted es presidente, sobre esta realidad que está ocurriendo? What would you do, Congressman, day one at the White House?
Vamos a tratar cada persona con el respeto y dignidad que merecen como humanos. We would not turn back.
Medicine? Did he just say medicine? Is there not a Spanish word for medicine, or did he not know it?
Our own asylum laws. We would not build walls. We would not put kids in cages. In fact, we would spare no expense to reunite the families that have been separated already. And we would not criminally prosecute any.
No, I know 40% of the USA speaks Spanish. But it's clear pandering. It's super clear pandering when they do that.
Let him finish. Let him finish, please. Yes.
We would not detain any family fleeing violence, in fact, fleeing the deadliest countries on the face of the planet today. We would implement a family case management program so they could be cared for in the community at a fraction of the cost. And then we would rewrite our immigration laws in our own image. Free dreamers forever from any fear of deportation by making them U.S. citizens here in this country. Invest in solutions in Central America, work with regional stakeholders so there's no reason to make that 2,000-mile journey to this country.
Secretary, I'll give you 30 seconds.
Let's be very clear. The reason that they're separating these little children from their families is that they're using Section 1325 of that act, which criminalizes coming across the border, to incarcerate the parents.
Dave Rubin asked, "How do you say pandering in Spanish?"
Some of us on this stage have called to end that section, to terminate it. Some, like Congressman O'Rourke, have not, and I want to challenge all of the candidates to do that. I just think it's a mistake, Bethel. I think it's a mistake, and I think that if you really want to change the system, then we got to repeal that section. If not, then it might as well be the same policy.
But Poyos, it's not about making it accessible. It's about trying to win over. It's like Hillary saying she keeps hot sauce in her purse, or that she's your abuela. It's not sincere policy making or inclusivity. It's just a way of cynically trying to buy votes from a marginalized group.
I'm still talking about everybody else.
But you're looking at just one small part of this. I'm talking about a comprehensive rewrite of our
I
immigration
guess so.
laws. And if we do that, I don't think it's asking too much for people to follow our laws when they come to this country.
I'm talking about millions of folks. A lot of folks that are coming are not seeking asylum. A lot of them are undocumented immigrants, right?
Spanish
and
off.
You said recently that the reason you didn't want to repeal Section 1325 was because you were concerned about human trafficking and drug trafficking. But let me tell you what. Section 18, Title 18 of the U.S. Code, Title 21, and Title 22 already cover human trafficking.
Damn, this guy came prepared with facts and knowledge. Binder Andy over here.
If you did your homework on this issue,
this is an issue that we should and could be talking about
Look
for
at
a
where
long time, and we will for a long time.
Can we talk about the conditions as to why people are coming here?
Let's Lester,
because
Savannah,
really,
Savannah. I know it's
yeah,
just we
shut
could
up.
go on.
But rather than talk about specific provisions, we really have to talk about why these people are coming to our country and what are we going to do to actually make a difference in these countries.
Congressman, you'll get your chance. Let's continue the discussion.
Get him out.
Senator Klobuchar, let's talk about what
Castro.
Secretary Castro just said. He
Castro
wants to
laying it out.
no longer have it be a crime to illegally cross the border.
Castro deporting the slave owners.
Do you think it should be a civil offense only? And if so, do you worry about potentially incentivizing people to come here?
Immigrants, they do not diminish America. They are America. And I am happy to look at his proposal, but I do think you want to make sure that you have provisions in place that allow you to go after traffickers and allow you to go after people who are violating the law. What I really
it is a civil offense, but it gets treated as a criminal offense.
Is the economic imperative here. And that is that 70 of our Fortune 500 companies are headed up by people that came from other countries.
Jeb can't
25% of our U.S. Nobel laureates were born in other countries. We have a situation right now where we need workers in our fields and in our factories. We need them to start small businesses. We need their ideas. And this president has literally gone backwards at a time where our economy needs immigrants. And so my proposal is to look at that 2013 bill that passed the Senate with Republican support, to upgrade that bill, to make it as good as possible and get it done. It brings the debt down by $158 billion. It gives a path to citizenship for people who can become citizens. And it would be so much better for our economy in America.
That's time. Thank you. Congressman Ryan, same question. Should it be a crime to illegally cross the border, or should it be a civil offense only?
Well, I agree with Secretary Castro. I think there are other provisions in the law that will allow you to prosecute people for coming over here if they're dealing in drugs and other things. That's already established in the law.
So
there's no need to repeat it. And I think it's abhorrent. We're
Anyone
talking
else?
about
Ted
this
Cruz,
father who got killed with his daughter. And the issues here, the way these kids are being treated, if you go to Guantanamo Bay, there are terrorists that are held that get better health care than those kids that have tried to cross the border in the United States. That needs to stop. And I think the president should immediately ask doctors and nurses to go immediately down to the border and start taking care of these kids. What kind of country are we running here where we have a president of the United States who's so focused on hate and fear and division? And what has happened now, the end result, is now we've got kids literally laying in their own snot with 3-week-old diapers that haven't been changed. We've got to tell this president that is not a sign of strength, Mr. President. That is a sign of weakness. And we're a stronger country.
All right, okay. He looked scared, but he powered through at the end there. If he had stopped mid-sentence, that would have looked really weak.
On day one, what will you do with the fact that you will have families here? There's been a lot of talk about what you'll do in the first 100 days, about legislation. What will you actually do with these families? How will you care for them? Will they be detained or will they not be?
Well, this is a related and brief point, because what we're talking about, what Secretary Castro and I are talking
Corey's
about,
plan
is
to
that
personally
we have the power
back massage
to deal with
every
this problem through the civil
detained
process
migrant
than the criminal process. I have been to some of the largest private prisons, which are repugnant to me, that people are profiting off incarceration, and their immigration lockups. Our country has made so many mistakes by criminalizing things, whether it's immigration, whether it's mental illness, whether it's addiction. We know that this is not the way to deal with problems. There is a humane way that affirms human rights and human dignity and actually solve this problem. Donald Trump isn't solving this problem. We've seen under his leadership a surge at our border. We solve this problem by making investments in the Northern Triangle to stop the reasons why people are being driven here in the first place.
Northern Triangle? Can somebody in chat tell me what that term means?
Healthcare, to affirm the
Happy to
values
have
of
you,
human
Yamada.
dignity of the people that come here, because we cannot sacrifice our values, our ideals as a nation for border security. We can have both by doing this the right way.
All right, Senator, thank you. Let me go to Governor Inslee.
I'm getting really fucking tired of this rhetoric. I need policies.
Same question I just asked Cory Booker. I have yet to hear an answer from anyone on this stage. What will you do with the families that will be here?
There is no reason for the detention and separation of these children. They should be released pending their hearings, and they should have a hearing and the law should be followed. That's what should happen. And we should do what we're doing in Washington State. I'm proud that we've passed a law that prevents local law enforcement from being turned into mini ICE agents. I'm proud to have been the first governor to stand up against Donald Trump's heinous Muslim ban. I'm proud to be a person who's not only talked about Dreamers,
I'm moving to this guy's state
first to make sure that they get a college education so that they can realize their dreams. These are some of the most inspirational people in our state. And I'll leave you with this thought if you want to know what I think. Donald Trump the other day tried to threaten me. He thought it was a threat to tell me that he would send refugees in Washington State if we passed the law that I passed. And I told him that's not a threat at all. We welcome refugees into our state.
Yeah, this guy also looks like a wrestler or like an announcer.
This is how we've built America. That tradition is going to continue if I'm president of the United States.
We're going to switch to another topic now. We've got a lot to get through. Let's talk.
My
we need to talk
grandfather
about.
was actually separated from his family when he
Oh my God!
We're going to talk about
so
Iran
confident
right now because we're working against the clock. Tankers have been attacked. A U.S. drone has been shot down. There have been disturbing threats issued by
if
both
a
the
single
US
person
and
here
Iranian
comes down
leadership.
even a
I'd like
little
if you
bit in
just for a
favor of
moment put
attacking
aside
Iran.
how you think we may have gotten here, but what I want to know is how do you dial it back? So a show of hands, who as president would sign on to the 2015 nuclear deal as it was originally negotiated?
Yeah. Yes, throw them up.
Well,
throw them up. Is that just O'Rourke? Oh no, it's Booker.
First and foremost,
Booker.
It was a mistake to pull out of that deal. And one of the reasons why we're seeing this hostility now is because Donald Trump is marching us to a far more dangerous situation.
Booker, why wouldn't you do
it? He took us out
it?
of a deal that gave us transparency into their nuclear program and pushed back a nuclear breakout.
Booker,
10,
stop. Why wouldn't you do
years.
it?
And now we see Iran threatening to go further, and we're being pulled in further and further into this crisis. We need to renegotiate and get back into a deal, but I'm not going to have a primary platform to say unilaterally I'm going to rejoin that deal, because when I'm president of the United States, I'm going to do the best I can to secure this country and that region and make sure that if I have an opportunity to leverage a better deal, I'm going to do it.
All right, Senator Klobuchar, I'd like
Booker,
you to
you
answer
just
that.
wasted everyone's time.
You said you would negotiate yourself back into the Iranian agreement. Can you argue that that nuclear pact, as it was ratified, was a good deal?
Yes, it was.
It was imperfect, but it was a good deal for that moment. I would have worked to get longer sunset periods, and that's something we could negotiate to get back in the deal. But the point is, Donald Trump told us when he got out of it that he was going to give us a better deal. Those were his words. And now we are a month away from the Iranians who claim now that they're going to blow the caps on enriching uranium. And the Iranians have told us this. And so that's where we are right now. He has made us less safe than we were when he became president. So what I would do is negotiate us back into that agreement, is stand with our allies and not give unlimited leverage to China and Russia, which is what he has done. And then, finally, I would make sure
it looks like nobody's
that if
here
there's
is going
any
to be like,
possibility of a conflict, and we're
we need
having
to
this
come down
debate in
hard on
Congress
Iran
right
for
now,
their
then
aggressive
he
actions.
comes to Congress for
That's nice
an authorization of military force. I would do that. And this president is literally every single day 10 minutes away from going to war, one tweet away from going to war, and I don't think we should conduct foreign policy in our bathrobe at 5 in the morning.
Congresswoman Gabbard, you've said you would sign back onto the 2015 deal. Would you insist, though, that it address Iran's support for Hezbollah?
Let's deal with the situation where we are. where this president and his chicken hawk cabinet have led us to the brink of war with Iran. I served in the war in Iraq at the height of the war in 2005, a war that took over 4,000 of my brothers and sisters in uniforms lives. The American people need to understand that this war with Iran would be far more devastating, far more costly than anything that we ever saw in Iraq.
Who died.
It would take many more lives. It would exacerbate the refugee crisis, and it wouldn't be just contained within Iran. This would turn into a regional war. This is why it's so important that every one of us, every single American, stand up and say no war with Iran. We need to get back into the Iran nuclear agreement, and we need to negotiate how we can improve it.
Can there just be one candidate who's like, I'm not going to waste time. We don't need to fight Iran. We don't need war. We need diplomacy. I want to go there, renegotiate. That's it. Bam. Drop the mic.
Developing a nuclear weapon and preventing us from going to war.
Time is up. I have just a very quick follow-up. Well, what would your red line be for military action against Iran?
Look, obviously, if there was an attack against the our troops, then there would have to be a response. But my point is, and it's important for us to recognize this, is Donald Trump and his cabinet, Mike Pompeo, John Bolton, and others, are creating a situation that just a spark would light off a war with Iran, which is incredibly dangerous. That's why we need to de-escalate tensions. Trump needs to get back into the Iran nuclear deal and swallow his pride, put the American people first.
Hey, but wait a minute.
All right, we are out of time, and we're up against a hard break, but we will have much more. Mayor de Blasio will have more. The commercial is coming. We will continue our questioning next with Chuck Todd, Rachel Maddow. Stick around. We'll have a lot more with some very
I can't believe we're only halfway through this shit. Fuck me. Hold on. Really quickly, while we have a second, let me catch up on some donations, okay? Oh, fucking Mike Gravel's hogging up the background. Fuck me. God damn it. Why guy with the $20 kid some fash butt, comrade. Fuck. Wait, did I already do this? I think I did, but I love you anyway, white guy. You're amazing. I love you. You're beautiful. But if I didn't do you, then you're double amazing. Non-authority with the $5. My bank statement says I should stop sending you money, so I stopped looking at it. Non-authority, don't make jokes like that. I don't want your money if you need it more. Clertmo with the $10. This is going to be an interesting night. Do you think anything of substance is going to be said, since each candidate is going to get like 5 minutes total amount? First of all, Clertmo, thank you so much for the $10. That is incredibly generous of you. Second of all, no, nothing of interest policy-wise will be said, but the way they handle themselves rhetorically is a really good indication of how seriously we should take them as a candidate. That's really important. The way they carry themselves, the way they pander, that's as much an indication of their character as a potential president as their actual policy positions. Naima with the $1. If fuck those donos is an invitation, I can get a permission slip for my partner. Naima, good. Pass that non-monogamy around. Frosty T.O. with the tier 1 sub. Hey, give Beto some credit. Not everyone can lose an election against one of the most universally hated senators in the country. Ted Cruz. He lacked critical information. Thank you, comrade. Snake Vortex 23 with a tier 2 subscription. Love your live streams. Huge fan. And I'm a huge fan of yours, comrade. Enjoy your shiny name in chat. I love you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Bro9650 with the $1. We not back? We not back. Hey, Vosh, you mentioned you were experiencing the last stand of white nationalism in another video. If you believe that to be true, how long do you think this stand will last? As a minority, I worry the U.S. will turn into Nazi Germany if you're wrong. I don't think the U.S. is going to turn into Nazi Germany because we have a much better civil society and a more globalized economy, which benefits from non-protectionist policies than Nazi Germany. However, there is a very, very strong possibility of us regressing into like some seriously fascistic, nationalistic mannerisms, accompanying like an inevitable global economic collapse. I don't know how long the stand is going to last, and I don't pretend to engage in futurism, but however long it lasts, y'all have got me for another 50 years or so, okay? 50, 55, I'll do the best I can. Posadas John with the $1. The issue on the border, you mean the fucking concentration camps? You also my chud for liking the Pocahontas nickname. Not as much of a chud as they are for not saying concentration camp. Posadas John With the $1, Beto speaks 2 languages. Wow, make him president already. Am I? Mayor Pete, hold my sippy cup, start speaking 420. I speak some German. Yeah, silence, I'll check. LTS with the $5. Damn, just noticed Warren is right in center. Oof. They sure knew who they were platforming today. And Sake Tanuki with the $5. Gravalanche. Robert Francis Beaton O'Dork speaking Spanish reminds me of 14-year-olds in second-year high school Spanish class. It's so stilted and even. I wouldn't pretend to know. I don't speak Spanish. All I know is that I really fucking hate pandering. It was like in that Vice video too, you know. You're now the largest minority voting group. Your votes are worth millions of dollars. Yeah, we know. Yeah. I'm behind on super chats. Fuck me. Ciantius with the $1. Kitty history, just like our kitty dinosaurs, kitty driving cars, kitty history, somewhere in quantum space. Mathematically, this had to take place. Kitty world wars and kitty mass graves and kitty colonias, only kitty slaves. Yeah, Ciantius, but I don't want to think about it, okay? Listen, they also have kitty water slides, okay? It's a good world over there. Wolfgar with the $5. This is why I hate working third shift. I miss all the good shit unless I wake up early. Still worth it, though. Wolfgar, I'm sorry to put you through the rigor, comrade.
Turn it over to Chuck Todd and Rachel Maddow. Take it away.
Ah! Fuck. I love you, comrade. Thank you for the $5.
We're going to start by recapping the rules. 20 candidates qualified for this first Democratic debate. We're going to hear from 10 tonight, 10 more tomorrow. The breakdown for each night was selected at random. Now, the candidates will have 60 seconds to answer, 30 seconds for a follow-up if necessary, and we will be ruthless if necessary.
Yeah, we can do that. By the way, hi, Rachel.
Hi, Chuck.
How you doing?
Good.
And we've got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to be talking about guns and climate here up top. A whole lot more in this hour, obviously because
his
of the size
eyebrows
of the field.
are so smooth, but his goatee looks so coarse.
Over the course
Does
of
he
this
do
next
his
hour,
eyebrows?
we
Does he
will
use like
hear
makeup?
from everyone. I promise everybody. And to begin with, we're going to go with guns. And Senator Warren, I want to start with you. We are less than 50 miles
super pro-gun
from Parkland, Florida, where 17 people were killed in a school shooting last year, and where there has been significant activism on gun violence ever since. Many of you are calling for a restoration of an assault weapons ban. But even if implemented, there will still be hundreds of millions of guns in this country. Should there be a role for the federal government?
Their mics are on.
Everybody's mics are on. I think we have I heard that too. That's okay. I think we had a little mic issue in the back.
Control room, we've got contrary
I think we heard, we have the audience audio. All right. So the question is simply this. We're from, I apologize you guys didn't get to hear this, the first part of the question. Obviously, we're not far from Parkland, Florida.
There we go.
Gun activism has become a big part of high school
Guys,
life
the simulation is
in
breaking
Broward
down.
County. Many of you are calling for tighter gun restrictions. Some of you are calling for the restoration of the assault weapons ban. But even if it's put in place, there's still going to be
the assault weapon shit is super fucking stupid. It's so fucking dumb.
On the streets. Is there a role for the federal government in order to get these guns off the streets?
What's happening?
We are hearing our colleagues' audio. If the control room could turn off the mics. Yeah, if the control room could turn off the mics of our previous moderators, we will.
I think it's the prior moderator.
Just the presidential primary debates.
Guess what, guys? We are going to take a quick break. We're going to get this technical situation fixed. We will be right back.
Back to super chats. Oh boy. Cuborg with the $5. Really, we should just throw them all in a gladiator pit with a sword and shield and see what happens. I would support that if it weren't for the fact that it's political violence. Sorry, buddy. Kitty history and the kitty space time blues, kitty leaders and kitty bank groups, kitty surveillance, kitty terrorists, kitty government come on and play sing, 6 kitty governments. Shut the fuck up, Ciancius. Thank you for the $1. Fuck me. Darth Vaden with the $5. Vaden, would you rather launch Nazis into a black hole sun or black hole sun? Well, all of those are political violence, so I say that Nazis should be peacefully de-radicalized in the free marketplace of ideas. Maddie Miller with the $5. I'm watching the NBC coverage of the debate on TV for my writing job, but I've also got you on my phone for fun. Here's to making it through the night. Oh, Maddie Miller, shit. Well, good luck with your job, and I'm glad you're finding this entertaining. Frank Haggis with the $2. We have such garbage candidates. Have my money, bud. Up until Booker wasted my time with that stupid fucking Iran deal thing, I was actually pretty impressed with his performance. Castro has also been doing pretty good. Warren's been doing great, but they've been giving her a disproportionate amount of time. And Gabbard, I've actually been so-so on. I don't really know how I feel about her pandering so hard to like the I was in the military thing, you know? Arab Art with the $2. Bernie or bust, reform or revolution? I'm a revolutionary, but you can have both. Bernie or bust, comrade. Sean Holland with the $10. A man for the people should be reported. Man for the people should be supported by the people. My guy, take my money. Thank you so much for your money, comrade Sean Holland. I really appreciate it. That is incredibly generous of you. Yeah, Pete the Wookiee, I know. Yeah, fucking Booker is a fucking Zionist cuck. I know. Frank Haggis with the $2. Who needs communism when you have Biden? I know, they're so similar. It's crazy. They're still fixing the fucking mic issue. Carl Carrington with the $5. Thoughts on my actually literally running for House of Representatives as an actual literal socialist? I mean, go out there, legitimize the term socialist, do your best, and fucking Godspeed. There's no harm to getting yourself out there and informing people that this exists as an option. Good luck, comrade. I'll vote. I'll vote for you. I'll move to your state. Flying Gobbo with the $5. Woo! Catching the show live. Glad to hear a different take of the debate. I don't know if I'm providing much good political commentary. There's so little of substance to dive into. They're talking about the fucking 2016 election. Kill me. Brooks Looks with the $2. New to you and sub. Don't pause again, though. Sorry, Brooks. I won't pause again. I still don't know why it's a problem, but I won't do it again. I love you, buddy. Zihao Zong with the $2. Vosh, huge fan. It's okay to be bred. It is okay to be bred. That's what I'm saying. Amazing. Creative Nothing with the $5. Someone take Beto's phone away. His Google Translate isn't fast enough. Also, loving this so far. Tulsi and Warren are my faves. Go. Favoring the woman, huh? SQUADW, boys. Sidejacks 2 with the $5. Beto has horrible grammar and Corey speaks it like it's Klingon. It's embarrassing. Can we just agree that Castro is doing good? So far, Castro, I think, has been pretty consistently okay. I'm in favor of that. Thank you, comrade. Sake Tanuki with the Sake Tanuki with the $5. You can just drop 70% of the candidates to 25% volume and read donations over them. The brain cells lost will be abated. Yeah, right now I'm mostly just looking at Warren, Booker, Castro, Beto for the memes, and also the mayor of New York has been doing pretty good work, I think, as well. I forget his name right now. New York's mayor. Yeah, Neocom, I agree. Lewis IRL with the $1. Thoughts on UBI? My understanding is that would help a lot of people, would take a lot of power away from workers. Also, to recently start my first job. Happy to join my fellow wage cucks. First of all, Louis IRL, congrats on your first job. Congrats on your first job. UBI in principle isn't necessarily bad. However, the one that Yang proposes is bad because the kind of tax that he would use to pay for it would disproportionately hurt workers. Also, the kind of UBI that he's implementing would be cut if you're already benefiting from social programs, meaning that it will benefit the middle class more than it would benefit the lower class. So I encourage you not to vote for that, not to support that policy specifically, but there are other forms of UBI that might work in the future. Okay.
So, in this period of time that I've been running for president, I've had more than 100 town halls. I've taken more than 2,000 unfiltered questions. And the single hardest question I've gotten, I got one from a little boy and I got one from a little girl. And that is to say, when you're president, how are you going to keep us safe? That's our responsibility as adults. 7 children will die today from gun violence, children and teenagers. And they won't just die in mass shootings. They'll die on sidewalks, they'll die in playgrounds, they'll die in people's backyards.
We got to take away their Fortnite.
Gun violence is a national health emergency.
Kids are fucking shooting each other with the revolver, flossing on each other's corpses.
So what can we do? We can do the things that are sensible. We can do the universal background checks. We can ban the weapons of war. But we can also double down on the research and find out what really works, where it is that we can make the differences at the margins that will keep our children safe. We need to treat this like the virus that's killing our children.
No policy positions.
You think the federal
Thank
government
you.
needs to go and figure out a way to get the guns that are already out there?
What I think we need to do is we need to treat it like a serious research problem, which we have not done. You know, guns in the hands of a collector who's had them for decades, who's never fired them, who takes safety seriously, that's very different from guns that are sold and turned over quickly. We can't treat this as an across-the-board problem.
End the drug war.
We have to treat it like a public health emergency. That means bring data to bear, and it means make real change in this country.
End the drug war. Policy positions.
Senator Booker, you have
End the drug war. Okay. Support mental health care.
You have a federal government
and allow the CDC to do research on gun violence. 1, 2, 3, easy.
Well, first of all, I want to say my colleague and I both have been hearing this on the campaign trail. But what's even worse is I hear gunshots in my neighborhood. I think I'm the only one, I hope I'm the only one on this panel here that had 7 people shot in their neighborhood just last week.
Damn, dude.
Someone I knew, Shahad Smith, was killed with an assault rifle at the top of my block last year.
With an assault rifle?
For millions of Americans,
what?
This is not a policy issue. This is an urgency. And for those who have not been directly affected, they're tired of living in a country where their kids go to school to learn about reading, writing, and arithmetic, and how to deal with an active shooter.
Does this guy live fucking rep?
This is something that I'm tired of.
Afghanistan?
I'm tired of hearing people, all they have to offer is thoughts and prayers. In my faith, people say faith without works is dead. So we will find a way. But the reason we have a problem right now is we've let the corporate gun lobby frame this debate. It is time that we have bold actions and a bold agenda. I will get that done as President of the United States because this is not about policy. This is personal.
Thank you, Senator Booker.
Secretary
What the fuck?
I'd talk to you about something that Senator Booker just mentioned there.
A tank rolled up my street just last month and fired into a dilapidated house, killing 6 homeless people.
Occurrence now. They don't make a complete news cycle anymore, no matter the death toll. As parents are so afraid as their kids go off to school that their kids will be caught up in something like this. Next to nothing has changed in federal law that might affect the prevalence of school shootings. Is this a problem that is going to continue to get worse over our lifetimes? Or is there something that you would do as president that you really think would turn it around?
Yeah, Rachel, I'm the dad of a 10-year-old girl, Karina, who's here tonight. And the worst thing is knowing that your child might be worried about what could happen at school, a place that's supposed to be safe. The answer to your question is no, we don't have to accept that. And I believe that on January 20th, 2021, at 12:01
that means this guy's had
we're
sex.
going to have a Democratic president, a Democratic House, and a Democratic Senate. The activists of Parkland, folks from Moms Demand, who have risen up across the United States and inspired so many people.
Nobody's going to say drug war. It's all going to be jerking themselves off.
Action, but we're getting closer. The House took a vote. In the Senate, the question often is if the decision is between 60 votes, a filibuster, or passing common sense gun reform, I'm going to choose common sense gun reform. So I believe that we're going to be able to get that done in 2021.
We don't need gun legislation.
Rachel, I have something to add to this briefly.
We'll give you 30 seconds for follow-up on that question, on that answer from Secretary Castro. Congressman Ryan.
You're talking about in the schools. These kids are traumatized. I support all the gun reforms here. We need to start dealing with the trauma that our kids have. We need trauma-based care in every school. We need social and emotional learning in every school. 90% of the shooters who do school shootings come from the school they're in, and 73% of them feel shamed, traumatized, or bullied. We need to make sure that these kids feel connected to the school. That means a mental health counselor in every single school in the United States. We need to start playing offense. If our kids are so traumatized that they're getting a gun and going into our schools, we're doing something wrong too, and we need reform around trauma-based care.
Mental health, cultural issue, drug war, let the CDC study it. We don't need to ban any fucking guns.
May agree with you on everything else. okay, but says, you know what, the Democrats, if I vote for them in there, they're going to take my gun away. And even though I agree with you on all these other issues, how do you have that conversation?
Here's how we had that conversation in Texas. I shared with them what I learned from those students who survived the Santa Fe High School shooting. Young student
every
named
fucking
Bree,
anecdote, Andy,
Marcel,
every single fucking
shooting,
time.
The mother
what policies would you implement? Listen to me. I once spoke to the aunt of the father of the child who was around the day that there was a school shooting. I was very saddened. We need to do something. Uproarious applause.
They should belong on the battlefield and not in our communities. Red flag laws, so that if someone poses a danger to themselves or to
anecdotes
someone
are more
else,
rhetorically powerful. Not if they're this overused. If one of them just stepped forward and said, none of these people are listing policies, here are policies that will fix it. Kindness, sympathy, these things don't keep children from getting shot. My policies will. If somebody stepped up with that, that would be fucking sick.
They've been able to change those laws. They're making our democracy work, ensuring that our values and our interests.
How do you feel about people who base their masculinity on gun ownership? They're like the problem.
Thank you, Congressman O'Rourke. Hang on.
Why is Bosch pro-gun? Because I'm a fucking leftist. I want the proletariat to be armed for a revolution.
The Iron Range, I'm curious. Gun confiscation, right? If the government is buying back, how do you not have that conversation?
Well, that's not confiscation. You would give them the offer to buy back their gun. But I'll say this. I look at these proposals and I say, does this hurt my Uncle Dick in his deer stand, coming from a proud hunting and fishing state? These proposals don't do that. When I was a prosecutor, I supported the assault weapon ban. When I was in the Senate, I saw those moms from Sandy Hook come and try to advocate for change, and we all failed. And then now these Parkland-kins from Florida, they started
South Sing, if you unironically think that civilian gun ownership wouldn't help in a revolutionary setting, you're a fucking moron. It's not about the proletariat going man to man against the United States Army. It's about making occupation difficult and threatening local institutions. Hey, if there are any fucking anti-gun shitters in chat right now, I'm fucking pro-gun. Get out of here, you little bitch babies. Arm the proletariat. Arm trans women.
Filling a Supreme Court seat. Having served with Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, do you believe they would confirm your court nominees?
I'm going to use 20 of my seconds just to say there's one thing we don't all agree with when it comes to guns, and I think it's common sense, and over 70% of Americans agree with me. If you need a license to drive a car, you should need a license to buy and own a firearm. And not everybody in this field agrees with that, but in states like Connecticut that did that, they saw 40% drops in gun violence and 15% drops in suicides. We need to start having bold agendas on guns. When it comes to the Supreme Court, very clearly, I agree with my friend, Secretary Castro, we are going to get to 50 votes in the Senate. This is a team sport.
Yeah, conservatards can have their guns too.
Campaign in places like South
the problem isn't conservatives with guns. The problem is the fucking drug war.
Like Iowa, because we can win a Senate seat there. This is about getting us back.
All right,
to
chat's full of retards.
I'm not looking at you. And more, so that we can not only balance the Supreme Court, but start to pass an aggressive agenda that, frankly, isn't so aggressive because most of America agrees with the policy objectives of our party.
Mayor de Blasio, I want to go to you on this for a follow-up.
What policies do you think would prevent gun violence and save lives? End the drug war. Let the CDC study gun violence. Address mental health care.
As an executive in the largest city in this country, you are used to saying what you want to have happen and having it happen. If you nominate a Supreme Court nominee as President of the United States and Mitch McConnell is still Senate Majority Leader, what makes you believe that he would allow you to make a nominee?
Rachel, I am Chief Executive of the nation's largest city, and I also want to just say something quick on the gun issue and come to your question. Look, I run the largest police force in America, too, and if we're going to stop these shootings, we're going to get these guns off the street, we have to have a very different relationship between our police and our community. I also want to say there's something that sets me apart from all my colleagues running in this race, and that is for the last 21 years, I've been raising a black son in America.
Oh, my God.
And I have had to have very, very serious talks with my son, Dante, about how to protect himself on the streets of our city and all over this country, including how to deal with the fact that he has to take special caution because there have been too many tragedies between our young men and our police, too, as we saw recently in Indiana. So we need to have a different conversation in this country about guns, but also a different conversation about policing that brings police and community together. We've done that in New York City, and we've driven down crime while we've done it. But to your question about Mitch McConnell,
I have nothing to say about this. It's too complicated.
If the Democratic Party would stop acting like the party of the elites and be the party of working people again and go into states, including red states, to convince people we're on their side, we can put pressure on their senators to actually have to vote for the nominees that are put forward. Decent jurists deserve that right.
Thank you, Mayor de Blasio.
Senator Warren, I'm going to get you. I will get you 30 seconds. I promise. Let me get this question. We're trying. I know you guys.
She looked mad.
Got other issues we're trying to get to, including a big one coming up in a minute. But Senator Warren, I want to continue on the Mitch McConnell thing because you have a lot of ambitious plans.
It's not about the left being better armed than the right. It's complicated, okay?
Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell if you don't beat him in the Senate? If he's still sitting there as the Senate Majority Leader, it's very plausible you can get elected president with a Republican Senate. Do you have a plan to deal with Mitch McConnell?
I do.
Get him. Snipers? No, just kidding. In a video game. I forgot. He's actually a sitting politician.
We are a democracy.
Mitch McConnell's a huge piece of shit.
And the way a democracy is supposed to work is the will of the people matters. Now, we for far too long have had a Congress in Washington that has just completely dismissed what people care about across this country. They have made this country work much better for those who can make giant contributions, made it work better for those who hire armies of lobbyists and lawyers,
I'll do it for you.
And not made it work for the people. Well, here's how I see this happening. Number one, sure, I want to see us get a Democratic majority in the Senate. But short of a Democratic majority in the Senate, you better understand, the fight still goes on.
Ooh.
It starts in the White House, and it means that everybody we energize in 2020 stays on the front lines come January 2021. We have to push from the outside, have leadership from the inside, and make this Congress reflect the will of the people.
I'm going to get a couple of you.
Comrade Warren out here with the fucking revolutionary rhetoric.
Congressman Delaney, you seem to believe you can do everything in a bipartisan manner. Mitch McConnell doesn't operate that way. He operates differently. Why do you think he is going to conform to your style?
I think we need to get things done. That's why I believe we need to operate in a bipartisan manner.
If we just do what he says.
Into law pills that come to the White House that are passed on a
historically, Republicans have been very willing to compromise.
Transformative things we've ever done in this country's history have happened when huge majorities of the American people get behind them, which is why we need real solutions, not impossible promises. We need to put forth ideas of work, whether it's on health care, creating universal health care so that every American gets health care, but not running on making private insurance illegal. The gun issue is related. The gun safety issue is related because I can't tell you how many times I've been with folks in Western Maryland, and they've said to me, you know, Democrats don't do anything for us. Republicans don't do anything for us. You fight all the time, so they vote on that single issue. If we become the party of getting things done for the American people with real solutions, not
dude, he's just powering through.
I promise 2:30s here. I'm going to say, Senator Booker, 30 seconds.
Oh, shit. Is Hunter Avalone in chat?
How do you deal with Mitch McConnell? You've been in the Senate. You can't get bills on the floor right now with Mitch McConnell. Presidents can't do it. Is President Booker going to get his bills on the floor with Senator McConnell?
You know, when I got to the United States Senate, going back to what de Blasio said, as an African-American man in an African-American-dominated community,
this guy's black?
One of the biggest issue was criminal justice
I don't
reform.
see race.
From police accountability to dealing with the fact that we have a nation that has more African-Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1850. And when I got to the Senate, people told me we could not get a comprehensive criminal justice reform bill done. And as my colleagues in the Senate know, I fought on that bill from the day I got to the Senate, built coalitions across the aisle, and today we passed the First Step Act. It's not as far as I want to go, but thousands of people will be liberated. I've taken on tough problems people said we cannot achieve, and I've been able to get things accomplished.
Thank you, Senator Booker. Rachel's got the next question.
We are going, hold on, Governor, you're going to be happy with where we go. Governor Inslee, this next question is to you. You got me? Rachel. You got me?
Fuck me.
You have staked your candidacy on the issue of climate change. It is first, second, and third priority for you. You said it's all the issues. Let's get specific. We're here in Miami, which is already experiencing serious flooding on sunny days as a result of sea level rise. Parts of Miami Beach and the Keys could be underwater in our lifetimes. Does your plan save Miami?
Yes, first by taking
Hunter Avalon wants to watch the debates with me tomorrow? Oh, shit. Now that's bipartisan support.
We are the first generation to feel the sting of climate change. And we are the last that can do
Y'all want that?
about it.
You want me to co-stream the debates tomorrow with Hunter Avalon? Oh, they want it.
We have to understand, this is a climate crisis.
Chat wants it.
An emergency. And it is our last chance in the administration, next one, to do something about it. And we need to do what I've done in my state. We've passed a 100% clean electrical grid bill. We now have a vision statement. And my plan has been called the gold standard of putting people to work. But the most important thing on this, and the biggest decision for the American public, is who's going to make this the first priority. And I am the candidate and the only one who's saying this has to be the top priority of the United States, the organizing principle to mobilize the United States so that we can do what we've always done. Lead the world and invent the future and put 8 million people to work.
Governor,
that's what we're going to do.
Governor,
Congressman O'Rourke,
I'm not going to lie. I can't pay attention to the climate change shit because I think we're already fucked on this one.
Pretty short period of time, including switching to renewable energy, pushing to replace gas-powered cars in favor of electric ones. What's your message to a voter who supports the overall goal of what you're trying to do, but suddenly feels as if government's telling them how to live and ordering them how to live? What is that balance like?
I think you've got to bring everybody in to the decisions.
What if we all just breathe half as often?
That's why we're traveling everywhere, listening to everyone. We were in
less carbon dioxide when we
exhale. A town that had never meaningfully flooded before, just up against the Missouri River in Iowa, and every home in that community had flooded. There were farms just outside of Pacific Junction that were effectively lakes. Those farmers already underwater in debt. Their markets closed to them by a trade war under this administration, and now they don't know what to do. We, in our administration, are going to fund resiliency in those communities, in Miami, in Houston, Texas, those places that are on the front lines of climate change today. We're going to mobilize $5 trillion in this economy over the next 10 years. We're going to free ourselves from a dependence on fossil fuels, and we're going to put farmers and ranchers in the driver's seat. Renewable and sustainable agriculture to make sure that we capture more carbon out of the air and keep more of it in the soil, paying farmers for the environmental services that they want to provide. If all of us does all that we can, then we're going to be able to keep this planet from warming another 2 degrees Celsius and ensure that we match what this country can do and live up to our promise and our potential.
30 seconds, Secretary
Castro. Wait. From Tulsi Gabbard's Twitter account, it's clear who MSNBC wants to be president, Elizabeth Warren. They're giving her more time than all the other candidates combined. They aren't giving any time to Tulsi at all. From V, Tulsi's sister. Oh, shit. Fight.
What do you do about that where maybe they're building a house someplace that isn't safe? Who pays to build that house? And how much should the government be bailing them out?
Well, I don't think that represents the vast majority of the issue. In fact, my first visit after I announced my candidacy wasn't to Iowa or New Hampshire. It was to San Juan, Puerto Rico. Because people should know that if I'm elected president, everybody will count. And, I'm one of the few candidates in this race with executive experience, with a track record of getting things done. When I was mayor of San Antonio, we moved our local public utility. We began to shift it from coal-fired plants to solar and other renewables, and also created more than 800 jobs.
Why does this guy look so familiar to me?
And when I was HUD secretary, we
does he look a little bit like the Weird Champ guy?
Resilience competition to invest in communities that we're trying to rebuild from natural disasters in a sustainable way. That's the way that we're going to help make sure that we're all safer in the years to come and that we combat climate change. And if I'm elected president, the first thing that I would do, like Senator Klobuchar also has said, is sign an executive order recommitting us to the Paris Climate Accord so that we lead again.
Congressman Ryan, I got a full question for you here, which is simply...
Rosh is weird about Asians. Fuck off.
Plans include pricing carbon. taxing carbon in some way. This type of proposal has been tried.
Hunter Avalon said trans rights in YouTube chat.
State where voters voted it down. You've had
the
Yellow Vest movement. We had in Australia one party get rejected out of fear of the cost of climate change sort of being put on the backs
Hunter, you
of
should
the
join
consumer.
V.GG chat. I know you don't have the fancy name border here,
just
but
politically impossible. How do we
you'd be well loved
for climate mitigation?
Well, there's a variety of different ways to pay. We talk about different ways of raising revenue, and I think we've got to build our way out of this and grow our way out of it. But let me just talk real quick to the previous question about real politics. We could talk about climate, we could talk about guns, we could talk about all of these issues that we all care about. We have a perception problem with the Democratic Party. We are not connecting to the working class people in the very states that I represent, in Ohio, in the industrial Midwest. We've lost all connection.
I love all this working class talk. I have to say.
Gravity of the Democratic Party.
Damn, look at that
from
face.
Being coastal,
blue
and
steel,
elitist, and Ivy League, which is the perception, to somebody from the forgotten communities that have been left behind for the last 30 years, to get those workers back on our side so we can say we're going to build electric vehicles, we're going to build solar panels. But if you want to beat Mitch McConnell, this better be a working class party if you want to go into Kentucky and take his rear end out. And if you want to take Lindsey Graham out, you got to have a blue collar party.
Take his rear end out? I'm sorry, was that a call for political violence?
So all I'm saying here,
thank you, Congressman Ryan.
All I'm saying here,
thank you, Congressman Ryan.
So Chuck, all I'm saying is here, if we don't address that fundamental problem with our connection to workers, white, black, brown, gay, straight, working class people,
no trans.
Done, Chuck.
Thank you very
He didn't say trans. Confirmed transphobe. I want this guy's Twitter account gone by tomorrow. Transes, get on it.
30 seconds, go.
All the economists agree that a carbon pricing mechanism works. You just have to do it right. You can't put a price on carbon, raise energy prices, and not give the money back to the American people. My proposal, which is put a price on carbon, give a dividend back to the American people. It goes out one pocket, back in the other.
Thank you,
I can get that passed my first year as president with a coalition of every Democrat in the Congress and the Republicans who live in coastal states.
Wow, a carbon tax.
Republicans in Florida,
that's the radical reform we need to address this end of the world class scenario.
Serious about this issue.
Congresswoman Gabbard. We're going to move here.
Oh, Gabbard's coming in hot.
One of the first things you did after launching your campaign was to issue an apology to the LGBTQ community about your past stances and statements on gay rights. After the Trump administration's rollbacks of civil rights protections for many in that community, why should voters in that community, or voters that care about this issue in general, trust you now?
Do it.
Let me say that there is no one in our government at any level who has the right to tell any American who they should be allowed to love or who they should be allowed to marry.
Weak. Gay marriage has already been passed.
Shows my commitment to fighting for LGBTQ equality. I serve on the Equality Caucus and recently voted for passage of the Equality Act. Maybe many people in this country can relate to the fact that I grew up in a socially conservative home, held views when I was very young that I no longer hold today. I've served with LGBTQ service members, both in training and deployed downrange. I know that they would give their life for me, and I would give my life for them. It is this commitment that I'll carry through as President of the United States, recognizing that there are still people who are facing discrimination in the workplace, still people who are unable to find a home for their families. It is this kind of discrimination that we need to address.
But it's not enough. It's not enough. If I can add to this, it's very important.
30 seconds,
this is not enough. Look, civil rights is
Corey.
the place to begin. But in the African-American civil rights community, another place to focus on was to stop the lynching of African-Americans. We do not
what does this have to do with LGBT rights?
About trans Americans, especially African-American trans Americans.
And trans rights?
Incredibly high rates of murder right now. We don't talk enough about how many children, about 30% of LGBTQ kids, who do not go to school because of fear. It's not enough just to be on the Equality
He fucking
Act,
zigzagged right there.
Co-sponsor. We need to have a president that will fight to protect LGBTQ Americans every single day from violence.
He fucking zigzagged. He was like, wait, what about black people? Black trans people. He fucking whipped back into shape.
Civil rights and demographics, honestly, and politics. For decades, the Democratic Party has counted on African-American voter turnout as step one to winning elections on a national level. Democrats are counting on the Latino community now and in the future in the same way. What have you done for Black and Latino voters that should enthuse them about going to the polls for you if you're your party's nominee?
My life and my career and my work in the Senate has been about economic opportunity. And to me, this means better child care for everyone in this country. And when you want to have an economy that works, you need to have retirement that works. You need to have public schools that work. And you also need to make sure that those communities are able to get those jobs of the future, the STEM jobs.
Has anyone put forward an actual policy at any point during this?
He signed where I was the lead Democrat. Okay, that's a first up here.
Fuck, can she stop DreamWorks facing?
Making sure minority community
Is she having a stroke? Look at her eyeyrows.
Share in those jobs. So to me, this is about a few things. It's
Stop
about an
DreamWorks
African-American
facing
woman
me.
that goes to a hospital in New Orleans, says her hands are swollen, and then doctor ignores her.
Yeah, Castro, the Section 13 was pretty good. Yeah, fucking B-movie Andy over here. Fucking Shrek-looking.
So, in short, we need to, one, and I will do this in my first 100 days as president, we will work to make sure everyone can vote at this table.
It's
everyone
like permanent
in this country. And we will also go to the next step of criminal justice reform. Senator Booker and I worked on that First Step Act, but we should go to the Second Step Act.
Maybe, wait, maybe we should stand her. Even her face is leaning left.
Follow up to you, Secretary Castro. This is a 70% Latino city here in Miami. You are the only Latino Democrat who is running this year in the presidential race. Is that enough of an answer? What Senator Klobuchar is describing there, an economic justice agenda, is that enough to mobilize Latino voters to stand with the Democratic Party in a big way?
Well, I also think that we have to recognize racial and social justice. And, you know, I was in Charleston not too long ago, and I remembered that Dylan Roof went to the Mother Emanuel AME Church, and he murdered 9 people who were worshiping, and then he was apprehended by police without incident. Well, but what about Eric Garner and Tamir Rice and Laquan McDonald and Sandra Bland and Pamela Turner and Antonio Arce?
Hey, you got all the names in your head.
I'm proud that I'm the only candidate so far that has put forward legislation that would reform our policing system in America and make sure that no matter what the color of your skin is, that you're treated the same, including Latinos who were mistreated too oftentimes by police.
Secretary Castro, thank you.
Dude, Castro has actually been laying it the fuck out.
I'm over here, Chuck. Thanks. We ask voters from across the country to submit their questions to the candidates. Let me read one now. This comes from John in New York, who submitted this question. He asks, does the United States have a responsibility to protect? In the case of genocide or crimes against humanity, do we have a responsibility to intervene, to protect people threatened by their governments, even when atrocities do not affect American core interests? I'd like to direct that question to Congressman O'Rourke.
That's a tough question. Even I don't have a set answer for that.
John, I appreciate the
Too
question.
much interventionism can have really bad consequences.
But that action should always be undertaken with allies and partners and friends. When the United States presents a united front, we have a much better chance of achieving our foreign policy aims and preventing the kind of genocide to which you refer, the kind of genocide that we saw in Rwanda.
To everyone saying yes, keep in mind that might include overthrowing Maduro. To everyone saying no, keep in mind that we might have been able to prevent what happened in Syria.
He's diminished our standing in the world, and he's made us weaker as a country, less able to confront challenges, whether it's Iran or North Korea or Vladimir Putin in Russia, who attacked and invaded our democracy in 2016, and who President Trump has offered another invitation to do the same. He's embraced strongmen and dictators at the expense of the great democracies. As president, I will make sure that we live our values in our foreign policy. I will ensure that we strengthen those alliances.
Well, Pete the Wookiee, that's how they would frame it. Because right now in the American media, everyone thinks Maduro is like a dictator who's oppressing his own people. Can I explain my own stance on Maduro? He's had some fuck-ups, but overall I think he's a genuinely good leader who's been fucked over by foreign interests and by businesses in Venezuela.
War without congressional authorization. And look, this is very personal for me. I know the cost of war. My dad served in the Pacific in World War II in the U.S. Army. Battle of Okinawa, had half his leg blown off, and he came home with scars, both physical and emotional. And he did not recover. He spiraled downward, and he ultimately took his own life.
Anecdote
and
Andy.
That battle didn't kill him, but that war did. And look, even in the humanitarian crisis, and I think we should be ready, Congressman, to intervene. God forbid there is a genocide, but not without congressional approval. Democrats and Republicans.
All I know about him is the John Oliver show. The John Oliver piece on Maduro was trash. It was really bad.
The congressional approval. We learned a lesson in Vietnam we seem to have forgotten. And the decisions have to be made by the United States Congress.
I want to pick up this point, and I want to put this to Congressman Ryan. Today, the Taliban claimed responsibility for killing 2 American service members in Afghanistan. Leaders as disparate as President Obama and President Trump have both said that they want to end U.S. involvement in Afghanistan, but it isn't over for America. Why isn't it over? Why can't presidents of very different parties and very different temperaments get us out of there, and how could you?
I appreciate that question. So I've been in Congress 17 years, and 12 of those years I've sat on the Armed Services Committee, either the Defense Appropriations Committee or the Armed Services Committee. And the lesson that I've learned over the years is that you have to stay engaged in these situations. Nobody likes it. It's long. It's tedious. But right now we have, so I would say we must be engaged in this. We must have our State Department engaged. We must have our military engaged to the extent they need to be. But the reality of it is this president doesn't even have people appointed in the State Department to deal with these things, whether we're talking about Central America, whether we're talking about Iran, whether we're talking about Afghanistan. We've got to be completely engaged. And here's why. Because these flare-ups distract us from the real problems in the country. If getting drones shot down for $130 million because the president is distracted, that's $130 million that we could be spending in places like Youngstown, Ohio, or Flint, Michigan, or rebuilding.
Is that really your take on this? No one is calling Trump out on deliberately trying to provoke a war to bump his ratings up.
The parents of those 2 soldiers who were just killed in Afghanistan, well, we just have
I'll
to
do a
be
stream with
engaged.
Maduro sometime.
As a soldier, I will tell you that answer is unacceptable. We have to bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We are in a place in Afghanistan where we have lost so many lives. We've spent so much money, money that's coming out of every one of our pockets, money that should be going into
I have more views than the Young Turks? I'm sure I do. Yeah,
we are no better off in Afghanistan today than we were when this war began. This is why it's so important to have a
single one of her
president,
answers has been military.
Who knows the
I guess
cost
this
of
one
war,
has
who's
to
ready
be.
to do the job on day one. I am
Boss,
ready
can we
to do
debate
that
it as
job
well?
when I
No.
walk
I've
into
seen
the
your
Oval
fucking
Office.
takes in chat. No, I don't give a fuck.
I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to go down the line here. Well, you know what? You felt like she was responding. You get 30 seconds.
Very
go.
good man.
Fair
I
enough.
Appreciate that.
I hear what you're saying.
I would just say I don't want to be engaged. I wish we were spending all this money in places that I've represented that have been completely forgotten and we were rebuilding. But the reality of it is, if the United States isn't engaged, the Taliban will grow and they will have bigger, bolder terrorist acts. We have got to have some present there.
The Taliban was there long before we came
Hassan
in.
BTFO'd. Poo-poo Piker getting shit on again.
The U.S. troops deployed to Afghanistan thinking that we're going to somehow squash this Taliban that has been there, that every other country that's tried
I didn't say
has failed.
squash them. When we weren't in there, they started flying planes into our buildings. So I'm just saying right now,
the Taliban didn't attack us on 9/11. Al-Qaeda did.
Well,
Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11.
I understand.
That's why I and so many other people joined the military to go after Al-Qaeda, not the Taliban.
The Taliban was
Do I have a
protecting
tie to
those
loosen?
people who were plotting against us. All I'm saying is, if we want to go into elections and we want to say that we got to withdraw from the world, that's what President Trump is saying. We can't. I would love for us to.
Protecting Al-Qaeda right now in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, call him out.
Finish up foreign policy. It's a simple question. What is the biggest threat to who is the geopolitical threat to the United States? Just give me a one-word answer, Congressman Delaney.
AGF, SVM, I'm not having a fucking debate on Venezuela with some fucking chat rando who's been sparking up my beautiful website with a dipshit.
Geopolitical threat remains
I don't care if you're
nuclear
Venezuelan.
weapons. Right? So those are
Maduro is a hero.
Totally get it. Go ahead, Governor Inslee.
The biggest threat to the
Maduro has never done anything wrong.
Donald Trump, and there's no
Congresswoman Gabbard.
The
greatest geopolitical threat.
The greatest threat that we face is the fact that we are at a greater risk of nuclear war today than ever before in history.
Senator
Two threats: economic threat, China, but our
Yeah,
major
where's
threat
Maduro's
right now is
live
what's
stream?
going on in the Mideast with Iran if we don't get our
try to keep it at one, or slimmer than what we've been going here. One or two words.
Our existential threat is climate change. We have to confront it before it's too late.
Senator Warner.
I'm not going to debate you on the importance of climate change. I know climate change is super fucking important.
Say China and climate change.
Congressman Ryan.
China, without
a
question,
Vonta Compton, it's probably
wiping us around the world
a compensatory thing.
And Mr. Mayor.
Russia, because they're trying to undermine our democracy, and they've been doing a pretty damn good job of it, and we need to stop them.
All right. Well, thank you for that wide variety of answers. And I mean
I don't know Abby
I
Martin.
mean that that's what this debate is about. This is the best part of a debate like this.
Oh, it's the best part.
Congressman O'Rourke. Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report outlines multiple instances of potential criminal behavior by President Trump. House Speaker Pelosi has publicly and privately resisted any move toward impeachment in the House. If the House chooses not to impeach, as president, would you do anything to address the potential crimes that were outlined in Mr. Mueller's report?
Lock him up.
Yes.
Lock him
I'll tell
up.
you why.
How, by the way, if the answer is yes?
One of the most powerful pieces of art in the United States Capitol is the Trumbull painting of General George Washington resigning his commission to the Continental Congress.
So
at
no
the height
answer.
of his power, submitting to the rule of law and the will of people. That has withstood the test of time for the last 243 years. If we set another precedent now, that a candidate who invited the participation of a foreign power, a president who sought to obstruct the investigation into the invasion of our democracy, if we allow him to get away with this with complete impunity, then we will have set a new standard, and that is that some people, because of the position of power and public trust that they hold, are above the law. And we cannot allow that to stand. So we must begin impeachment now so that we have the facts and the truth, and we follow them as far as they go and as high up as they reach, and we save this democracy. And if we've not been able to do that in this year or the year that follows, and under my administration, our Department of Justice will pursue these facts and ensure that